Hey everybody, welcome to Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
A comic book review show where we take a bunch of books from last week and we review them, tell you what we thought about them, and then recommend comics that are coming out this week that we think you should check out. We also want to say this show is sponsored by viewers like you. If you're watching the show live, you can sponsor today's show by using a super chat, ask a question or comment, we'll read it here on the show. We're going to do that towards the end of the show, so we make sure to collect all the super chats we can and then address everything towards the end. We also like to, at the end of our review session, pick a book of the week, a standout book that we think is particularly exciting and that we want to exalt, and then we determine what that is.
Yeah, I don't want to do that this week.
You don't?
No.
Because it's too many? Because you had too many books?
Yes.
Yeah. Marvel and DC, take note. Stop putting out too many books at once.
Or
we
like,
also
stop putting out books that clearly have a similar audience.
Mhm.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying. Don't you want me to go to the comic book store more than just once a month, basically?
It'd be nice. We also want to take a minute to talk about the news. There's also a bunch of things that happened in the world of comics that we like to address. A couple of them came out. The first one is a little more self-aggrandizing than most, but I wanted to use it as a opportunity because this is a show that is essentially disposable. Like I hate to say it because I love this show.
This is indisposable.
It's indispensable, but it also is quite disposable because no one watches the show a week after it's out.
Maybe they do.
Well, only if they also wait to read their comics. But otherwise, this show comes out on a weekly basis, and so it's only timed for that time.
Mm-hmm.
But as a result, it's not as precious as like a whole episode of like back issues, something like that. So I can talk about myself a little bit better in this without it seeming to a self-aggrandizer. But yeah, Comicron.com, a long-standing expert in the world of comic book sales measuring, determined that the second issue of Terminator from Dynamite Entertainment led Diamond's advance reorders last week, and the first issue led reordered comic books. Image's G.I. Joe #1 was the top advance reorder new series launch, which is proved by today, according again to hearsay artist extraordinaire Bleeding Cool, that would be something over 225,000 copies of G.I. Joe #1 were sold, which puts it higher or ordered.
Okay.
Yes, I should say at the distributor level, which does put it higher than Absolute Superman, Absolute Wonder Woman, etc. I don't think it's as high as Absolute Batman, but few things are. But that being said, that kind of like helps to lend credence to this article, which
sure.
Of course the point of it being Terminator #2, the second issue of Terminator, led Diamond's advance reorders last week.
That's amazing.
And by last week, I do mean 2 weeks ago.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. It's incredibly amazing, and it is all due to the audience out there who went out and pre-ordered the book. I mean, it's incredible to behold. Something that I wanted to just make a note of, and I wanted to thank the audience for being so awesome and interested and taking a chance, taking a leap on not only me, but also on the act of pre-ordering books. And hopefully that will get you a little bit more familiar with the process and a little bit more comfortable with that. And maybe we can see that kind of phenomenon. It won't be reported on as often, but that kind of phenomenon on your favorite books. Because that's it's the number one way that you preserve your books or the creative teams on the books that you enjoy is by pre-ordering those books. So if you can do that for your favorite books, you can move the needle a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I always bump this desk while we're filming this show.
Well, it's not ideal, this whole scenario. Like this is
an ideal scenario for me.
I mean, it is for me, certainly, because I do this for a living, and it is ideal.
It's great. I just been like, I'm sorry for everyone who watching it. If we're suddenly like doing this, it's because 9 times out of 10 I bumped the desk because I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Wham.
But with this is in the wake of the first issue.
Yeah.
Of Terminator, which sold incredibly well, higher than they expected, and that I wanted to say that was like we may have helped with those numbers, but I was also willing to admit, Terminator is a huge brand. It just hit 40 just over the weekend.
Sure.
And also, Declan Shalvey, fantastic creator in his own right, and leading the charge on that book. I could imagine maybe we were a little bit of like a nudge for the first issue, but the second issue, no, that's us. Thank you, audience, for helping to make that book, higher than expected.
Yeah.
And helping to push that along. I would like to parlay that into maybe a bigger job for, Dynamite / Terminator.
That
I'd like
would
to do a book.
That would be great.
At the very
honestly.
least.
I mean, listen, I didn't write this. I other than
I
like
appreciate it. You read it.
other than being married to you, I have no like attachment necessarily. I'm just gonna say I think that you had a bigger hand in the issue 1 sales. And that's my opinion.
I
That's
appreciate
my
that.
solo opinion, not your opinion.
No.
That's my solo opinion.
And I appreciate that opinion. And I'm more willing to give it to the second issue because, you know,
Sure.
the drop off is
I'm just
significant
gonna,
for
I'm
any
just gonna say it's both.
first issue to second issue.
Both,
But I appreciate that. Thank you.
but yeah,
Certainly, I don't want to sell our
community
audience
is
short.
incredible.
It is completely. But yeah, I'd love to do more. You know, so
Please do more.
you know,
Please
right
write
now,
more.
we know there's going to be 5 issues of Terminator. I just saw the cover for issue 4, and so I'm like, okay, here we go. So maybe either like a couple of issues. I don't know. We'll see. But I'd love to do something. Right now, on paper, nothing. So you know, hopefully, we'll get somewhere with this. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's one. The other thing is that LeBron James was on Twitter the other day, and he basically was like, I want to get harassed by the entire comic book community. Does anybody want to like either just inundate my feed or give me free comic books? And the audience complied. His tweet specifically was, best place to order comic books from? Used to collect when I was younger, Batman being my fave. I can order and read from iPad, or best to do straight off the comic.
Straight off the comic?
Yeah,
Like,
like,
order
basically-
your comics from the comic?
I think he means like, should I like? I'd love to be able to read it from my iPad, but should I just read the comic book specific, like, you know, in physical?
And that really depends. That's to each his own.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a number of responses. Notably, James Gunn dropped in and said, "DM me and I'll hook you up." Nick Lowe, editor of Spider-Man, also did the same. Much more tepid response from the audience for that suggestion.
Let me just tell you, obviously their like amalgam name is, you know, LeBron James Gunn.
Oh yeah. Jim Lee also. I might know a guy who can help. That's funny. The official Twitter account for the show, The Penguin, said, we think the king would be a fan of The Boss, which is entirely self-aggrandizing. It doesn't mention comics whatsoever. We think, you wanted to know where comic books are? Watch Penguin on Max. Like, thanks.
They should be able to point to at least the Penguin book.
Well, some jerk off in the responses said, he asked for comics, so here you go, and then linked directly to the Penguin Volume 1. I don't know who that was, but whoever he is a kind of a smartass. But I couldn't help myself. I had to drop in there. And because like I love, you know, I look, I am all about the local comic shop. I think that pre-ordering your books is the best way to get your books to survive. And I love the experience of going to your local comic book store. I don't know where LeBron lives. I don't know, you know,
I think it would be a bit of a media
it would be
circus
a circus if he were to walk in.
That.
Yeah, to like Newcomb Comics in Lambertville, or go to, you know, across the bridge to New Hope to swing by Phantasm Comics.
Yeah.
You know, it'd just be like, oh, what do you got? You know, so because he offered
but I'm sure he would be welcomed in both locations.
No question, but it would be a mess. So I was like, look, if you're looking for the iPad, here are your legitimate sources to get your comics. And I know exactly what you're thinking of, LeBron. Your Highness, brand new comics. You want to go through Comixology / the Amazon Kindle e-reader. That is, I know you have an Amazon account, which means just buy your comics directly through there. It is immediate. If you want new comics, if you like, for example, if you wanted Absolute Batman and James Gunn wasn't just going to send you a box of them. But I know what LeBron is asking for. This dude used to read comics 20 years ago, and he wants to either reread them, show them to family or children, or see what he missed in the gap.
Right.
So what you want is, if you're reading Marvel and DC, you want the Marvel Unlimited app or the DC Universe Infinite app, and I linked both of those. Marvel Unlimited has a Twitter page you could just go to, but DC Universe Infinite, not so much, so I directed them to the website for DC Universe Infinite. About 300 people agreed with me, and I thought that was really nice, and I'm just like glad to see that. But not to pat myself on the back more, that's not what the show is, but you know, just like, it was just fun to see, but it turned into just a media storm. He had over 135,000 likes and 6.7 thousand retweets, and this is on Twitter, which is like 12 million views. And this is on Twitter, which is essentially a dead website at this point. So it's kind of cool to see like that kind of engagement, particularly about like someone.
So what do you think he read?
Right. What do you think he read? Oh man. Well, he said he liked Batman, so there's no question he read some Batman. The question is which Batman. My guess would be the Snyder Capullo run, because it starts with issue 1 and it has an uninterrupted stream, right? And it's an easy, drop in run. But the thing is, you need a guide. At this point,
Yeah.
the king needed a guide. I was happy to oblige, but unfortunately, my phone didn't ring. He had my number. I don't understand why, but no, I'm kidding. But he needs a guide. Somebody to be like, let me ask you a few questions. Just some really, really simple tertiary questions that could help to get you to where you're going, and then I can get you some, runs, trade paperbacks, single issues.
Have you read Saga?
Right. Have you read Saga? Would you be interested in Saga?
He's like, no.
Like, would you be interested in independent comic books? Like, and knowing LeBron, you probably, if you read independent comic books, my guess would be with Spawn.
Yeah.
Maybe Shadowhawk.
Okay. Yeah.
And if that's the case,
well, don't worry, you can still read Spawn.
You can read Spawn from 1 to 375. Like and it has not stopped.
I'll have plenty of time.
You'll have plenty of time to catch up.
Maybe they're gonna cast him in something now. Maybe that was like a ploy. He's
Well,
like, I want to be. You wouldn't have to do that.
Well,
You just ask.
I mean, what's it called? Jamie Foxx is still locked in for that Spawn movie. Which, okay. I'll believe it when I see it.
I meant like in DC or Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I want to be in those.
I mean, he's already acted in the Space Jam sequel, so we know that he has the chops. That being said,
any other news
outside of that? Not so much. I mean, there's plenty of news that happened, but but for the most part, let's just talk.
Because there's a ridiculous amount of books, and that's what I'm worried about right now. How many books did you get through? Like, how many books do you plan on talking about today?
I don't know, like 5 or 6.
I have 9.
Well, there you go.
This week was too much.
Yeah.
It was just too much.
Yeah. Why don't you kick it off with Flash? Keep it light.
Just keep it light. Just not a problem at all with the Flash right here.
Yeah.
Flash number 14 came out this week. Written by Cy Spurrier with art this time by, hang on, I've got the screenshot because I'm amazing like that.
Yeah.
This time by Vasco Georgiev.
Ah, yes, that's right. I was very excited to see that because Georgiev has done a number of like fan covers for Marvel DC crossovers.
Yes.
And also he's a designer. Because he also came up with this like amalgam, if you will,
right,
of the Marvel DC crossover as a logo, and I was like, just really incredible stuff. But,
so this is obviously on the heels of Spurrier's large 13 issues of story that kicked off where people weren't super thrilled with it.
Yes.
But found a place where I think folks were like, oh. So this story starts off, I think, a little bit more of what you thought you might be getting when you jumped into a Flash book.
Okay.
Which is kind of throwing me off. I'm like,
oh no, this is an actual Flash comic book now.
Where is the sadness, Sigh, and how do I get to it? No, this is actually very sweet. This is a very sweet issue just in general, and it very much has like that kind of broad appeal. In that there's first couple pages, dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs.
Great.
We're going to
Dinosaur Island.
Skartaris.
Oh, okay.
Which I was just like, this is the freaking whatchamacallit from Marvel.
Savage Land.
I was trying to call it the Shadowland so badly. I was like, I don't know what the Shadowland is.
New York is the Shadowland, according to when Daredevil took over.
Yeah, well, they can find Terasuke. Anyway, so this issue doesn't just act like nothing happened before it. They're like, oh, no. Listen, yes, some stuff happened. And the idea here basically is that like all the stuff from Flash 1 through 13 happened.
Yeah.
And All In has occurred.
Right.
And
so like they built the station. He has his ID card. He is still, alpha tier.
Barry no longer has power.
Right. Yes.
But the rest of the Flash family are fine. But Wally essentially is like in the wake of everything that happened. Myself and the kids and Linda are going to go on a trip.
Oh, okay.
So he takes them to Skartaris.
All right, that's fun.
And they're going camping essentially. But there's a secret reason that they're going. And he tries to keep it hidden, which his kids are like, that has never worked ever.
Yeah.
In any way. So he inevitably gives it up, right? He's just like, okay, fine. I'll explain to you what happened. Essentially the Justice League itself is like they call him in for a reason or another, and it's they got like this squid.
Okay.
Because they're like there's like 3.4 things happening like every hour.
Okay.
Oh no, per day. There's 3.4 mysterious threats per day, so it says Red Tornado. They explain. He gives like a listing of what they are. They've got inexplicable seismic activity, spooky sunspot displays, And they're like, he's like, I'm sure you've heard about the telepathic signal giving John a migraine. I was like, oh, that's interesting. What's going on there? Right? A little Star Trek for you. But the point 4 is that there's a mysterious squid that showed up. To the watchtower. And
all right.
It's
just kind of floating there.
Yeah, well, it has like markings on it, and it's coded as a message to the Flash from Skartaris, where they're like, hey, so hello, we're gonna need the Flash to get his butt over here, because a like sorcerer has showed up, and it's the Weather Wizard. He was the only one that was missing from the prison from which he was being held.
Okay.
And Flash was really not too worried about that, but we're gonna bring Weather Wizard in, which I was like, you know what? This is Sai being like, I told you if you went along with me on my journey, we were gonna have some fun, and here we are. Right? We're gonna go to a place where there's dinosaurs with the family, and we're gonna deal with Weather Wizard.
Sure.
Which I'm like, yay, a little bit of magical stuff, right? Because the intro is like a cold open where you're like, oh.
Like whoa, this seems like a pickle.
What's happening, right? Like Arctic Circle weeks ago, and I'm like, Arctic Horror? They're like, no. I'm like,
no.
Dang it. So anyway, so that's how he ends up going there. And he's like, but I was going to take, like,
my family on a trip.
He had put in for vacation. Essentially. He was like, oh, I'm going to go on vacation. I mean, like, I know what I'm putting in for. It's not like you can say no.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's all volunteer basis anyway.
And they're like, well, I mean... But we can, right? And then he has a conversation that, like, if any of you have worked in a space in which you have to ask for vacation, he tells Red Tornado that he's like, I want to help. Like, of course I do, but I told my family we're taking a vacation. I promised them, and after everything we've been through, we deserve it. And Red Tornado just goes, we all deserve it, Wally. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you for understanding.
Yeah.
Wally's like, I don't mean, like, I know you don't have a body. Like, I understand that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm just saying, oh, okay.
You'll
so he's just like, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'll just take the family with me.
Yeah.
And we'll go on, like, a super secret mission together.
Not even a real Red Tornado.
And so that's what they decided to do. They're like, he's like, I'm going to take them on a mission. He reveals to them that it is a mission.
Okay.
And, like, Linda's like, I am so on board, and puts on her, like, ass-kicking outfit.
Sweet.
She's like, ready. And her kids are like, Mom, where are your clothes? Like, stop this.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Irie is like had enough. Like, she wants to go do like real Justice League stuff. She's ready. She wants to be a hero. She wants to be part of it. So she steals her dad's card and like vibrates her energy so that it matches his, and then like ends up on
the satellite.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Except her dad's there, and she's like, "What?" And that's where we leave it. I'm like, "That's really cool.
Yeah.
Great cliffhanger. Great cliffhanger." I'm like, "What? Did it work? Did she go someplace else? What's going on?" Right?
Yeah.
Wally also questions the boom tube whole thing. He's like, someone's gonna like make this messed up, which obviously Irie proves. Also, I want to point out that there's like a little party that's being thrown for Barry because he's retiring. That's what they're calling
right, because he has no friggin' powers. You're useless now, Barry.
Yeah,
I guess he could just go back to work.
Well, that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna live his life, and like it's actually a really, really sweet and well handled like conversation between the two of them. Like, at another time, I could see them being like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to make it be that like Wally or that Barry's going to become a villain because he's mad or jealous.
Oh, yeah, they could.
I mean? Like, they
they could Ben Reilly him. Yes.
Exactly. But instead, he's just like, no, it's fine. Like, would I prefer to have my powers? Of course. But like, we do this so that people can live their lives. And I get to do that now. And so that's what I'm going to do. And so like, don't feel bad for me.
Right.
Like, don't have survivor's guilt. I understand that's what you're going through. And he's like, but that said, like, I'm cleaning up, and I never really got the whole, like, using the Speed Force to make my costume thing. I always had to have mine in a ring. And it's like messy, but like here, and he gives him the ring. And I have to tell you that the panel for that, Georgiev does such an incredible job.
Yeah.
He's just holding it, and like Wally just goes, it's heavier than it looks.
Right.
And I love that because it's just the weight of the responsibility. Now we've been dealing with the relationship between Wally and Barry since the start of Spurrier's run. Yeah. But like Barry hasn't been in control of his faculties, and kind of Wally wasn't either. So this is kind of nice to actually have them interact like this. And I feel like we all know that eventually Barry will get his powers back. I mean, like, I don't think I'm spoiling anything. I think we're just going to eventually see that. Like, they're not going to be able to help themselves at some point or other. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about that. Just like I just enjoyed this moment between these two guys. Just these two like people who are just like, one has severe survivor's guilt, the other one's like, it's okay.
Right.
Like, I get it. Like, off you go. So pretty dope. Really, really enjoyed this issue. But like I said, this is much more akin to the spirit of the end of the last arc. So if you liked where that was going, feel free to jump on here. In fact, if you didn't read any of the stuff before that, I think you're kind of okay.
Probably okay.
You know, you're probably pretty all right to jump in there. But yeah, like this book.
Cool. Well, I had a look at Iron Man #1. I had to take a look because Spencer Ackerman and Julius Ota provided this interesting new direction for Iron Man. It's not necessarily even like a new direction, and in fact, that's kind of my major complaint with it. But overall, you know, it was an interesting suit. Like, I loved the suit design that they were going for, which, by the way, does not appear in this book. But yeah, it's a lot of like, okay, this book is what I used to think of when I didn't read Iron Man comics on purpose. I was like, let me guess. He loses his company. He fights a bunch of corporate fat cats who also have like villains at their disposal. They destroy his armor. He has to move new armor. Like, it's every Iron Man story you've ever heard or ever imagined in your life. Someone even says, as he's being attacked, this is not another armor war. And I'm like, it is, though. And he's like, oh, no, it's not, because I'm going to win this one. I'm like, you won the last two. Like, what are you talking about? But this is going to be the Stark-Roxxon War. And I promise you, this is originally called Armor Wars 3. And someone, probably the creator, was like, no, I'm not going to go there. This is not another Armor Wars. I'm going to put it in the books. They say that. It's just... the art's fine. It didn't really blow me away.
Okay.
Certainly it's in the wake of the Duggan period. You know, he's really mad that his armor and his technology was co-opted. He called them like genocide robots. And basically what happens is he's attacked by magic, but not like any magicians you might know and sorcerers you might be excited about. It's just corporate overlords who learned magic and then used it against him because he's not magic. And he has an anti-magic suit, but he wasn't wearing it that day, so now he got his ass kicked. And so he's like, I got to build a magic suit. So the suit looks like a steampunk because it's going to be magic. Stark's going to finally teach himself how to use magic. And that's what the impetus behind this book is. And I'm like, okay, magic Stark is fine.
So I guess they're trying to set up whatchamacallit?
Oh,
Superior.
You mean what's it called? Like him fighting
well, him being Sorcerer Supreme.
Oh yeah, like Bendis wanted?
Yeah.
There's no way.
I know.
Well, I promise you this. Anything that Bendis wanted to do is like on a wall somewhere that says we will never do that.
Yeah.
At least until he comes back.
So here's what I think is interesting about your complaints about this book, right?
Because
it's like at the end of the day, like, what do you want from Spider-Man? You want like similar stories to what you're used to reading, where it's just kind of more simplified. And like here you have a book that you don't read frequently, right? But like maybe that's what they're doing here too, where they're just like in the wake of Krakoa, where Tony was like embroiled in that, like let's bring him back to what Iron Man fans might be looking for.
It exactly is that. And I hope that Iron Man fans are excited. I hope they're reading it.
Right. Okay.
I might read one more. We'll see.
Okay. Fair.
But I was like, oh my God.
Okay.
And it wouldn't stop. It just kept going.
It wouldn't stop.
Like I was like, jeez.
Wouldn't quit.
I was just like, I get it. And then it just wouldn't keep going. Also, I wanted to point out that the omnibus for Ghost Rider 2099 came out.
What?
I bought it.
Why?
Well, you're gonna have to read it and become an expert on Ghost Rider 2099. This is a character that I have 2 issues of this series from when it came out. I have no idea what this book is about. I'm just really excited to see what you think of it.
I don't like this element of our show where I get reading assignments.
I mean, come on. It's cool.
Look at how happy it is to see me.
Yeah.
Look at him.
Get excited about Ghost Rider 2099.
Hey, everyone. Here I am.
Yeah. Right? That's fun. Also, supposedly, this week, the Marvel DC crossover omnibus comes out.
Wow.
I've seen some people have it. Not me, but some people have it.
Okay.
And so I'm excited to see that in my house.
Fantastic.
Someday.
Fantastic. Really quickly, I read Dazzler #2 this week, written by Jason Liu with art by Raphael Loureiro. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fine book. You know what I mean?
You weren't like you liked it well enough.
I liked it well enough, and I still liked it well enough with this one. Except it's interesting because I know Jason Liu was very involved with Lila Cheney.
Mm-hmm.
And guess who shows up at the end of this book? it's
Lila Cheney.
Yeah. She's like, behold, it's me. And I'm like, oh, okay.
You're like, wow.
I guess I really should have seen that coming.
Yeah, no one didn't.
But yeah, I mean, I this one certainly like, you know, bringing into question, you know, the role of mutant, you know,
human relations.
well, yeah, but I was gonna say like folks who are, you know, in the like public eye.
Yeah.
You know,
I
like
see, I see.
Dazzler is.
Yeah.
And the idea that, you know, someone is, we don't know who it is, right?
Mhm.
Someone is, you know, working to destroy Dazzler essentially.
Oh,
like,
no.
in the public eye,
Yes.
right? To like
Someone's
help
looking to
weaken
discredit
that.
or ruin her rep.
Exactly. And pays off another mutant who is like some telepathic abilities, but nothing like obviously most of these,
Charles or
yeah,
whatever.
Nothing like any of the others are used to dealing with, right?
Naturally.
Very like on the low end of the spectrum there. But essentially, you know, that mutant does like severe damage by, you know, taking control of her and some others, you know, around her.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, they're like, how could you do this? Like, how could you betray us? And it's like, well, because someone's like putting a lien on me, essentially. Like, they send photos and they know where my daughter is, and like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like all these points. And you know, it's questioning the line that like people in the public eye have to walk, right? Where it's like, are you solely there to like to only promote, or are you like to live your, like, it's interesting.
Yeah,
like,
are you a celebrity? Are you a person?
Yeah, there's like a lot of like interesting questions in this. And you know, the action's pretty good. And you know, obviously we get like this fun little look at this cartoon that they made, the X-Men animation special graphic novel that they use the animation
from the original,
stills
from the Pride of the X-Men animated series.
I was like, wait, Sal showed me this.
Yeah.
Oof.
What a rough show that would have been. I'm glad that we got the other one.
She's using her Dazzle powers. But yeah, so like, you know, this is fun. It was light. It's very like, for me, this was out of the books I read this week. Right. So I was like, oh,
that was perfectly fine.
That's perfectly cromulent.
Oh, good. But you also read The Hunger in the Dusk.
I did also read Hunger in the Dusk by G. Willow Wilson with art by Chris Wildgoose. And
what a pretty book.
Such a beautiful book. Are you kidding me? This is issue 3.
I didn't read it. I was just leafing through it, but I'm like, what a pretty book.
It's just such a gorgeous book.
Wildgoose really just bringing his A game on this beautiful series.
Absolutely. Which is so funny because like this issue, obviously this book is dealing with war, right? You have these two warring people and this other like group. And they're talking quite a bit about the relations not only between those two, but the idea of the honor. Like, in a sense, like these two, like you have the orcs and the humans, and even if they're sworn enemies, there's like still honor on the war, like on the battlefield, right? But then you have the Van Gogh and how they fight as though they have no honor whatsoever. And so like it's like death incarnate has come for them, you know. And it should be something that these two factions can bond over, but instead it doesn't. And that's obviously what we've been dealing with, is like this whole treaty that's supposed to be happening, and you know how that's kind of maybe been broken. But this issue in particular was like, it was just sad. It was just people talking about like basically not knowing anything else but war. But it was also so beautiful because it's beautifully drawn and it's very thoughtful. And I really just love this book. I'm really glad another issue came out. And you know, I am excited to see where it goes. And my brain is like, hopefully it'll be nice and positive or whatever. But like, as I'm like getting to know more of these characters from the last arc, and now with like 3 issues in, now I'm starting to get more worried for these characters.
Sure, yeah.
Because I'm like, well, we're doing a book about war.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to break some eggs, aren't we?
Oh yeah.
And I'm really not looking forward to that.
No.
So we'll see what happens. But again, I really do love this book. IDW is a great idea to put this book out. Yeah. And I really, you know how like I'm always like, they're fine in the medium that they're in. I would love to see an animated show for this.
Sure.
Like 100%.
I'm sure they would too.
Yeah, like I think that'd be great.
Yeah, in the style of like Vox Machina, like just something where it's like fantasy, like, but still
get like powerhouse animation. I don't care. Like get someone like that in there to do this. I think it could really bring something to the story, especially if you like made sure that Wildgoose was in charge, or like, you know, a part of, you know,
like the storyboard,
art direction, and all that. Yeah, like
yeah,
I think it'd be really beautiful for that. So maybe one day we'll see that. But otherwise, I'm happy with the story that you know, G. Willow is telling us.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there we go. Yeah. Fantastic.
Well, I read Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #3 from Jason Aaron, this time with art by Cliff Chong. This was great. Leonardo's focus this time. Leonardo goes to India to pray at the Ganges. His plan is just to stay there forever. Obviously, it doesn't work out. He wants to commune with the turtles. You know, I spent the first part of my years like focusing on being like a, you know, kind of a man or a person, but now I'm going to try and get back to my roots as being a turtle. And so he meets these turtles that essentially, and I'm sure that Jason Aaron like did a quick Google search on like what turtles are like across the world and like found a neat little tidbit and then focused on it, made it the theme of this issue. But there's these indigenous turtles that, you know, they pitch bodies in the Ganges, and these turtles eat the bodies. And so these turtles like are part of the ecosystem, but also they're like, you know, they're man eaters. And so, you know, Leonardo finds these turtles and he communes with them, and then
they bite him. Wait, really?
Yeah. But at first they ignore him and then they bite him, but like they don't like eat him. And then the Foot Clan shows up and he attacks them, and then he leaves their bodies for the turtles. And then he goes like, all right, I gotta go. And then he steals a helicopter, and he meets up with the other two turtles that we focused on the last two issues, and teams up with Raph and Mikey. And we're really just hammering home like their new dynamic, which is that like none of these guys get along. Donatello is obviously the weakest brother. He needs help from all of them. He'll be the uniting factor. He's the fourth issue. And then it'll continue on with a regular creative team. But, you know, obviously Donatello is like nuts. I think I don't want to get into the specifics because I think that's out of school. But let's just say Donatello's in a pretty depressed state.
Sure.
But in this case, we see Leo work with Mikey and Raph. And certainly Mikey is not the kind of like goofball idiot that he used to be portrayed as. Instead, it's much more of like a seasoned, kind of like tired, you know, he's tired of being thought of as like, you know, the dispensable brother.
Right.
Obviously that is for Donatello because nobody freaking cares about Donatello. That's why he always has to wear glasses or have like
What's wrong with wearing glasses?
Nothing. I'm just saying like there is nothing wrong about wearing glasses, but Hollywood seems to think there is, which is why they keep shoving them onto Donatello's face. But anyway, this is a good issue. Like, you know, Cliff Chong's art is fantastic. It's action oriented. It's fun. You know, Raph and Mike are in like a weird, you know, kind of like proto state where they're like, you know, they're in flux. But Leonardo is dressed like a Ninja Turtle. And it's fun to see him like being like, this is what we're supposed to be. Let's go. Even though literally like 3 pages ago I said I was never going to do this ever again. But fun stuff, you know. It's like this is what Ninja Turtles should feel like. It's great.
Yeah.
From the DC Vault, Death in the Family, Robin Lives, #4, DeMatteis, Rick Leonardi. This is the finale of the like what should have been an Elseworlds book, but instead is from the first and only imprint from the DC Vault line of DC Comics. Bite me on that front. But yeah, you know, it wraps up. And if you have ever read any of these issues, you know where it goes. But you know, what happens is, you know, Jason kills Joker and then becomes the Joker. Who'd have thought? But otherwise, it's like Batman retires and he tries to settle down, and Nightwing ascends, and it felt a little slipshod. And here's why it was so slipshod, or how I knew that you could tell like DeMatteis either lost his steam or just didn't care or whatever, because in Spider-Man Batman, written by DeMatteis, art by Mark Bagley.
Okay.
There's a 2-page sequence where Joker has infected these bats, and he's going to release them into Gotham, and the bats are going to bite people and make them go as crazy as he is. And Batman immediately defeats him, takes the bats. He's like, I already solved this, and how dare you, blah, blah, blah. That was just a little throwaway moment. The exact same scenarios in this book, too.
Oh.
Joker's in a cave. He's going to steal some bats, going to infect them, and then if I can win, I'll release the bats. They'll bite you. They'll make you cry. I'm like, that's the same thing. And I think he did it another time. And I think that's just like when I need a scenario that Joker is going to pull off, that he will be defeated. That will not happen because he'll be defeated before it happens. Like it'll be the Insanity Bats. Like for him, like every single time that like Batman needs to beat the Joker before the Joker wins, it's going to be the Insanity Bats. And I'm like, I don't know what you're doing, man. But also, you know, the whole book is about mental health, and like Batman literally falls in love with a therapist, and then they're like, oh yeah, it didn't work. Jason's crazier than an outhouse rat, and now he's the Joker too, because like, you know, there has to be a Joker. And I'm like, all right. It's just like,
okay.
it was silly and not great. It felt like a lesser Legends of the Dark Knight story. But and the art, it's what Rick Leonardi's new style is.
Okay.
After 25 years.
Okay.
Take it or leave it.
All right.
I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was incompetent. I think it was just, when you look at Rick Leonardi's name, you're expecting Spider-Man 2099 from 1993. Not Klaus Janson, which is what it more or less looks like. But I think the art is fine.
Okay.
And it services the story and it's consistent and competent. But it doesn't save the book. At the end of the story, this will be a forgotten footnote. People will refer to it. Someone at DC is going to pitch, we should do a Black Label or an Elseworlds book about what if Jason Todd didn't die. And someone at editorial is going to go, yeah, that sounds great. Like, they're not even going to say, we did this with Demon. Like, no, it's going to be that.
Right.
Like, someone's going to find it one day. Like, someone like me is going to find this in the equivalent of a back issues bin in 2035. And they're going to go, whoa, I can't believe. And then they're going to read and go, oh, okay, I can see why nobody cared about this. It's fine. It's perfectly harmless. It doesn't do anything wrong. It's just, what you see is what you get.
You had more expectations.
I had a higher expectation on this one.
Okay.
I also read Green Arrow 17 from Josh Williamson, and I'm going to say,
I've got 9 books.
I know. Well, all right, go ahead.
You're almost done.
I got plenty more.
You really?
Yeah, I got at least 3.
Oh, okay. I read Tin Can Society.
Yay!
This week, Tin Can Society number 2 of 9.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in this that you only have 9 issues.
Yeah.
Written by Peter Warren with art by Francesco Mobili.
Yes.
Freaking gorgeous.
You loved that first issue.
I did, and I loved this issue too.
Yay! I'm glad.
We're in like an interesting time, right? We have this book going out about like a world we've never seen with like a superhero in it, and something happens to them, and we're getting the present story where we're unraveling a mystery while we're simultaneously getting the history of the guy and also the friends that he made back in school, right? So it's like it rings of a Stephen King novel, but like shorter, truncated, and more superhero focused, right?
I hear you.
But it's like simultaneously, we also have a book called Power Fantasy coming out, which we're going to talk about too at some, in a couple of issues. Yeah. But it's just interesting, right? You got a couple of like books that examine superheroes, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I really, really, really enjoy this issue. I enjoyed the last issue, and this is great because it's like I wasn't sure if I was just so struck by the art and the concept.
Yes.
But this issue came in strong. Again, I really enjoy learning about the mystery of like who killed this guy.
Right.
And I'm like starting to question, I'm like, was it himself? Like, I don't know. I'm only issue 2, like we're on issue 2.
Yeah.
But like we're starting to we're looking at the friends. Like, was it one of the friends? Was it someone else?
We got the suspects. We're building it out. You can start to formulate your own theories, which is exciting.
A little bit. But like what I'm really enjoying is actually like their history. Like as kids, that's fun, but as they get to be adults, it's messier.
Yeah.
Right. We're watching our victim and also like protagonist of this book.
Yeah.
Become, this incredible like tech media, like mogul, not really media, but like tech mogul.
Yeah.
Where inevitably like he just gets like paraded out in front of the like people because like there's like a board that basically controls the company at this point, but like as though he were a mascot. And so he decides he wants to be something more than that and creates this power suit based on like, his braces and such tech that he uses in order to walk. So we're learning about that too. It's a really clever way to pack the story up for us.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the month-to-month read. I think if you're decided you want to pre-order or trade for this, I think you're gonna be really rewarded for that too. I think it's gonna be a really great read because right now the only thing that's keeping me from like finding out what happened is the fact that I have no other issues. Right? Like I could see someone like burning through this pretty
easily
quickly because it's like you want to know.
You need to know.
Who did it.
That's a great mystery. Yeah, that's fun.
And again, like the art for this, Mobili is just doing really, really incredible work. We're dealing with mostly people entirely and also like
humans.
occasional bots and machinery, but everything looks great. Like the human stuff is like real and raw and you really get the emotion from them. It's just a really good example of like the imagery and the art in the book supporting what's on the page without having to like have it explained to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, love this book.
Yeah.
I suggest you check it out. I literally picked it up last time on the strength of the cover and the first page.
Yeah.
So yeah, love it.
Well, do you want to do a DC book or another Image book?
I could do another Image book.
Why not?
I've got you all here. I won't go too much into this. Last time I talked about Power Fantasy. This is Power Fantasy number 3,
which you leafed through at New York Comic Con.
I did. This is written by Kieran Gillen with art by Casper Wingard. I did get a chance to actually leaf through this at New York Comic Con. Kieran Gillen had a copy of it at his booth, and he was letting people look at it.
Yes.
And so
maybe even walk away with it, but you didn't. You returned it
because it wasn't mine to keep. And I think that there are characters in this book who would agree with me that I was correct in doing that, being the right person. So this book, absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. It's the kind of book that like I can't wait to reread when it's put together, because it's just Gillen not being elitist, but like it's just one of those things where it's like, I know that he is smarter than I am. And so like it's gonna take a bit for it to come into focus for me, I feel like. But this issue in particular gives you a really good look at what we're doing, especially if you, in the wake of reading the essay in issue 2, there's also an essay.
There's a continuation.
Well, yeah, there's just more. I think most of the issues are going to have.
They're going to have a little
thing. This one's a little shorter.
I wonder. He did not.
He's done this in other things.
Mention that like this is like excerpts or even just transcriptions from like a Substack or something. These are all just his musings.
Because it's very targeted to this book, right? And so like really what we're dealing with here is there's the question in the back of the book is why he chose this time period, because like essentially it's like an alternate history to our lives.
Exactly.
Right. So it takes place like 1945-ish is when it starts, dropping of the
the bomb.
Yeah, the bomb. Yeah, I'm like, is it 45? Yes. 1945, dropping of the bomb. That's what kicks off like the atomics essentially. And the idea of like when he's writing for Marvel or DC, the idea of these heroes that it's like really like if they fought, it would be like mass destruction.
Yes.
Right. Like what would that be like if like beings like that existed, and it would do that. Right. And so that's what we're dealing with here. And so you have like these atomics that have shown up, and then there's also other folks who maybe are from somewhere else or something else. Like we meet, oh my gosh, I just cannot remember her name for the life of me. But there's the idea of like an angel and like a devil in a way. And that like, is there something else out there? I don't know. I don't know what this is just yet. And it gives me the maturity of Watchmen.
Right.
I'm not saying it's dealing with the same thing, and I'm not at all
as good as Watchmen.
I'm not saying that either. I am just saying that like there's a certain level of maturity to Watchmen and other books like it. But I feel like that's the one that's the most like accessible to people. Like most of us have had
touchstone that people can immediately draw a conclusion about. I mean, I think, and you don't need any further elaboration, but I can understand the approach being like, more approached Watchmen with a level of sincerity.
Yeah, exactly.
And earnestness / realism.
Yes.
That the Power Fantasy also embodies.
Right. Power Fantasy also, though, touching on his history, which I think, like, to me is intrinsically tethered to Watchmen, talking about the various wars and like, people's being
exactly giving you historical touchstones to ground it further.
Exactly. And so like in this, we like touch on like Nixon, and we touch on, like I said, like the bomb,
the war,
and like all of that, and what people like had, where we can see things skewing because of these beings being here, being here. But regardless of that, what I love about this book is that we also get an infographic.
Oh boy!
But this infographic is actually really great because it's more or less like letting us know. It's giving you a timeline, and so it's kind of going over stuff that you already learned to make sure that you have it.
Yes.
And then it's also telling you like that you're going to see things in issue 12. See issue 12. I'm like,
oh,
I love that. I love that so much that Gillen's like, no, I had that planned out to this point. Like you're going to see, we're talking about Etienne Lux, who is a character I love. I love Etienne. He reminds me a bit of Ozymandias.
Okay.
Kind of. Except Ozymandias, very different. They're very different characters.
Right, but like, it reminds you of it.
It reminds you of it in that you're like, are you so
good
smart?
Or bad?
Yeah, are you good or bad? Are you so smart that you're doing the right thing? Or
are you so smart you think you're better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like it's like, you know, Etienne Lux awakes from a coma, powers active, see issue 12. And I'm like,
yeah, little ticking clock, little Hickmanisms there.
Little Hickmanisms there, a little bit.
Well, plus the infographic.
Plus
I mean, like,
the infographic.
you know, Krakoa must have been, you know, not that Kieran Gillen needed one, but you know, I can imagine that Krakoa was like getting to enroll in like a graduate program.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, here's another, you know, fast and hard examination of how to make comics on a grand scale.
Yes.
In a way you've never done it with, you know, without the usual barriers in place.
Exactly.
You know, like Gillen would have had to explore, you know, new opportunities and ways of expansion and exploration on his own dime before, or with some kind of capitulation with like Boom or somebody.
Yeah.
But with Marvel, it was like, first of all, editorial sleep at the wheel. And secondly, you know, while the money isn't there for creatives, it is there for, you know, its expansion. Like they're going to make enough copies that like more people than ever have the possibility of touching your work.
Yep.
As opposed to like, you know, getting boots on the ground and actually having to like sell a Boom original series. Yeah,
so sorry. Her name is Valentina. I don't know how I forgot that.
That's right.
It's just because I get so
because you read like 20
but also I get really excited about this book. So like every time I talk about it, it's like I can't really form a cogent thought about it because it's just like it's such a like joy to read this, even though it's like stressful because you have, you know, Etienne or Lux and you have got Valentina, and like Valentina is so morally right, but she's made friends with Etienne.
Yeah.
And you never know, like, because he can't read her, he can't affect her, like he can affect others. That's the thing. He can affect people and like hide from their like, so like he's very dangerous, but they're all very dangerous to some degree, right? And like Valentina wants nothing but to do the right thing. She's morally just, right? And like, but the question is by who's moral, right? Sure, right? But she is morally just in most things that she does. And at one point, like Nixon in the U.S. like hit her with like a bomb, but she's at like it's like the 70s, so she's at like a party or 60s. And so like all those people die, and she like goes out. Like it's an insane sequence. It's really gorgeously rendered because that's the other thing, right? Like Wingard's art is spectacular in this. It's just the perfect choice for this book. I love his depiction of people, but I also love the colors in this book because it's like it's called power fantasy, right? And it's just like it's just pretty and, you know, exciting and energetic, but like you're dealing with things that are like scary. And like you're lucky, and then we're all like, oh, this is just a look into a world, but it's like people react the way that people would, right?
Does Wingard do the colors, or is there a colorist for this?
That's a really great question.
I think, you know,
we should probably shout them out too.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna find that page.
I assume the credits page from the back.
You think it's in the back?
Usually.
Okay. It's not. You're a liar. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to mention was that this leaves you with like constant like what the heck, because the idea is like Europe is gone, something happened there, and I'm like,
it's Casper. Look,
it is artist. Okay, yes, artist. That's what I thought. Oh, it's right here. It's literally right here. It's in the corner.
Oh yeah, I like to hide that.
They're not taking like a lot of credit for this. Anyway, so like it's just a gorgeous book. It's exciting, and like I said, like this is a book that like I literally can't wait till it's a trade because I want to buy it for Ethan. Like I want to buy this for Ethan. I think he'll.
Well, Ethan does love Watchmen, so
I know.
And again, not to like conflate it. It's not Watchmen.
I'm not saying it's like trying to be. It's not trying to be Watchmen. No. It just makes me feel.
Well, how many books out there are like Watchmen? You know what I mean? Like it's hard to place or categorize. So anyway.
Which I mean, like, listen, I you know, so mentioned like, you know, not surprised because, you know, Wicked and Divine being huge. I think it's that like some things come and go.
Yes.
Like I think Wicked and Divine hit at a very specific time.
It sure did.
I think currently it just feels, it may not be true, but it feels like there's more comics out than ever, and there's more places for people's attention to be drawn. So like people not talking about this book could just have to do with the fact that like
it just
hasn't found its market.
Well,
yet,
it's also just Wicked and Divine was what, over 10 years ago now. So we have seen the fragmentation and tribalization of media further exacerbated by, you know, the streaming or age and so forth. So like, whereas most people, you know, I swear it used to be, there were like people who were like, I read Marvel, I read DC, but most of them read both.
Right.
And then there used to be people who the smart alecky jackasses in the late 90s who were like, I read indie only.
Right.
But they read indie. Now there's people who are like, I don't read Boom Indie. I don't read Image Indie. Like, so it's like, it's just Wicked and Divine was for people who read indie books.
Yeah, yeah,
or people who knew who Kieran Gillen was.
Right.
But like now you gotta it's so niche,
Sure.
Like the reason why everybody was talking about Wicked and Divine, because A, nothing else was being published that was like it.
Yeah.
And B, everybody who wanted something like it found that one book. Whereas now it's like, well, power fantasy. It's one of 1,000 options you have.
Yeah.
From 50 different formats of media to consume.
I'll also mention too, in the book itself, there seems to be an emphasis on the importance of music. Not like it's like themed to that, but like characters, like they trade records and stuff like that. And it's just like, I thought you might like this, and it has effects on them. Like it does for a lot of writers and artists. I also want to give a quick shout out to when Power Fantasy dropped, people were talking about it, and I thought it was this because I saw like an ad for this at San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes.
This is called We Called Them Giants, right? This is a Kieran Gillen, Stephanie Hahn's book that's coming out at the end of October. So maybe this week. And then I noticed it's also going to be in bookstores, presumably if it's on time, the first week of November. And when I say bookstores, the question is why? Let's talk about this really briefly. We Called Them Giants is an OGN from Image.
They got your letters.
Kieran Gillen is putting out an OGN with Stephanie Hans. I just want to put this on your radar. If Kieran's work, or you liked Die and you like Stephanie's work with Kieran, this might be something that you want to go look up, since it is going to be this OGN. I didn't realize it was an OGN at all. So I'm delighted by this move. I think this is a power move.
Yes.
An OGN is an original graphic novel, so the entire story will be in it.
The whole damn book.
The whole book will come out.
Right.
It'll be like a trade, but it's an original graphic novel, because a trade is really a collection of books that were published like these. Like there will be a trade of Power Fantasy, and it'll collect all the individual issues. And an OGN is an original graphic novel,
this is a shortening,
which will just literally be
the whole damn
It'll
story.
look like a trade, though.
Yeah.
So the whole story is going to come out.
Yeah. So that's worth picking up. And it's only $20, by the way. We pre-ordered it. It should be arriving next week.
Thank you.
We're excited about that. But yeah, check it out. Pick it up. Yeah, I read Green Arrow 17. It was essentially the wrap-up to Williamson's Green Arrow, although I should say this is not Green Arrow Annual 2024, so you got to check out Green Arrow Annual. It's coming out soon. But this is both by Williamson and Chris Condon, which has, basically like a little whetting of the appetite setup for Condon's run on Green Arrow, because Green Arrow isn't ending. Williamson brought this book into existence, willed it into existence, and willed it from a minis to a ongoing, and so here it is. But he's now passing the torch to Chris Condon, who's doing this series. Art by Amanse Nahulpen and Montos. This wraps up the Ollie story by having Ollie kind of like have a big chat with the Justice League, being like, sorry, I seemingly betrayed you only to save the day. But I really didn't, so get over it. And they were all like, yeah, you're fine. And then
here's your car.
Condon's story, yeah, exactly. And Condon's story was basically like, well, Batman doesn't think so, even though he was smiling in the previous issue. And so he shows up and he's like, oh, you better watch yourself.
Here's remember something funny that happened.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh wait, I'm sorry. What did Ollie say? Did he want to just forgive him?
No.
What a jerk. Further upsetting the Redditors who were like, Chris Batman's the biggest hypocrite in the DC universe. Yeah, we all knew that. But yeah, so Condon's Green Arrow is doing that thing that the other, if you remember when I was telling you to like buy this book if you love the Green Arrow family, this is why. Condon's book is very dark and very gritty and very grounded, and it's going to be about the deconstruction of Ollie, and Ollie's going to be really on a solo quest. And he was asked actually on either on Twitter or somewhere else, they asked him when will the Arrow family factor into your story, and he's like, basically what he said was, they're not gonna, because I'm not here to write about the Arrow family. I'm here to write about Ollie. So Ollie's like, he had to put in a line clearly in the book that was like, I got to do this on my own, even though I literally just did that in the previous arc. So yeah, get used to more gritty, angry, miserable Ollie Queen.
I heard he was inspired by, what is it, the Mike Grell stuff?
Yeah, which makes perfect sense. It feels like a Mike Grell, old school longbow hunters kind of Ollie story. Which, if you're looking for that, like then pick it up and pick up the next issue of Green Arrow. But if you wanted happy, chili making Ollie, you ain't gonna get it in this. Yeah, but it's fine. It was a good, it was a fine story and a good torch passing.
Very nice
issue.
Very nice. Let's go into it's like we're in DC land.
I know,
now.
yeah.
This is like one of those weeks where it's like I read a lot of DC this week. Zatanna, Bring Down the House, book 5, written by Mariko Tamaki with Javier Rodriguez, bringing this to a close.
Oh no, it's over.
This is over. It was 5 issues.
Those classic 5-issue miniseries.
It's fine. It was really well done.
No, they probably planned it out.
They probably planned it out. I'm glad it wasn't it could have been 3 regular sized Black Label, the big ones, or this. And this is fine. This is great. Yeah, this is cute. I mean, listen, what do you think was gonna happen? She finds her power. She goes and fights her dad and all of the other demons, and surprise, surprise, she triumphs. I'm not gonna tell you how. I'm not gonna ruin that for you, right?
Yeah,
it's not gonna do that.
Exactly.
And then near the end, obviously, she finds a new gig, and she's doing her magic act, and she's visited by some folks who have a proposal for her, and it's cute. It's one of those things where it's this is a Black Label book, but I mean, if they wanted to roll this in and make it part of her origin, they could do that too. It's fine, whatever. Obviously, I enjoyed the story. I thought it was really fun, but for me, the thing that really sold this book was, of course, the art.
Oh yes.
Rodriguez's art is incredible. I mean, look at this. look at this madness.
Yeah, madness. Magic should have an element of madness.
It should have an element of madness for sure. But I mean, it's vibrant. It's out there. It's a great fit for this type of story. Yeah, I think Tamaki and Rodriguez did a really good job. And I think this is one of those books that how I'm always hey, you could read any of the one shots for certain magical characters.
Yes.
Maybe not the other Black Label book for John.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that one. But the Cy Spurrier one, Black Label's a great place for the magical world.
Yes.
I gotta tell you, right? It's just
because now that there's the Vertigo, people are like, wait, whoa, now what are we gonna do with all the magic stuff? What about Swamp Thing and Hellblazer and all that stuff?
Right. But
your pitch is what?
My pitch is what? What do you mean?
How do you reconcile Black Label, Vertigo, and
I mean, obviously, I think what they're gonna do though, my pitch was to make Black Label be capes.
Right. Black Label is your subversive or darker edged superhero story or superhero universe, DC universe story.
Yeah, and Vertigo, because it's here's the thing, Swamp Thing and Sandman and John,
they're all intrinsically
connected. They started with DC, but they
or Vertigo, you mean?
No, they started in DC.
Oh yes, they did.
And then they moved over into Vertigo, and it's they found their home there. Animal Man. I think Animal Man actually started in Vertigo. I'm not 100% on that.
Remember, yeah.
But you know what I mean? You have these heroes who have ties to the DC universe. But Vertigo is where they really found their roots.
Yes, it defined them.
Yeah. For sure. But yeah, so this I think is going to be a great pickup for people who have interest in Zatanna. I'm not saying it's the end all be all for everything that she is.
No, it's not like the Oath for Zatanna.
Right.
Or is it?
I don't know. I think
certainly it's one of the few OGNs that they'll have when it's over.
It's not an OGN though.
No, that's true. But it'll be a graphic novel.
It'll be a graphic novel. And I think as a graphic novel, I'm hoping that more people will find it. I don't know how this did sales wise.
It came out
as a Black Label book that isn't Bat centric.
Yes.
But I'm hoping that it finds a good sales in trade form because I think it's well worth it. And like I said, the art for it's just really, really great. It's just fun. It's exciting.
It's nice to see a creative team working on a character that is is for all intents and purposes, and forgive me, Zatanna fans, but like secondary, and having like this desire to tell you this really like original story that is specifically about this character and isn't like a by way of, you know.
Right. I mean, look at this. Look at this fun stuff we got going on here. And again, not trad more, but giving me thoughts
it's
of
giving
like
trad
Sunrise a little bit, right? So like,
but in a great way. It's in a very original way.
But this is now over. So if you wanted to read this or you wanted it for a trade, this will be your opportunity to let your comic shops know that you want to get a copy of the trade when and if it comes
what is
out.
it called? Zatanna,
Bring Down the House.
So make sure to pre-order your trade or hardcover. DC probably put it on hardcover first. So Zatanna, bring down the house.
Exactly.
Now, what about your most miserable? Oh, okay, never mind. We'll go with the other guy.
I thought we could talk because you read this, right?
No, I didn't have time.
Oh,
no, zip-zopping all over New Jersey with my
let's
dad.
talk about Green Lantern Dark this week. This is a DC Elseworld book.
Yes. Hyped for this.
It says issue 1.
But they always do that for a one shot. Like they'll tell you it's number 1 no matter what. But I think it is a one shot.
Okay. I mean, like if it isn't, I will read more of this. Please give me more. I'm totally fine with it.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the origins of your interest in the Tangent universe, Green Lantern? Look at this. Yay. There is a number 2. Looks like there's only 2.
This is written by Tate Bromble, by the way, with art by Werther Del Edera.
Well, you do know Bromble's bounds.
Okay. So obviously the reason I wanted to read this was twofold. One, Werther Del Edera is doing the art. That's the artist for Something Is Killing the Children. 2, I've had a fascination with the design for the Tangent Green Lantern since the moment I laid eyes on the Tangent Green Lantern.
Yes.
It blew my mind. Wanted like everything about it. And now we're dealing with an Elseworld story seemingly about the Tangent Green Lantern. So I was like, Sal, does that make this like, this is totally an Elseworld.
It is completely Elseworlds.
Right?
This is what the original Tangent Green Lantern looked like.
That blew me away.
Yeah, you were like, whoa, complete reinvention.
Yes.
Very interesting concepts. This is what it used to look like. This is the first appearance, I believe, of the Tangent Green Lantern.
Yeah.
We have 3 copies of it.
So,
I've never read one.
So this is an Elseworlds for that seemingly. So you get a little history in here. You get just like a lot of world building, but like world building with action. I don't want to ruin this for you.
Well, don't.
This is a great issue. It's dark.
Yeah.
It's a little like creepy.
Is it set in the Tangent universe, or is this like if the Tangent Green Lantern was in the DC universe as the primary Green Lantern?
I do not believe it is that at all. No, I believe it is meant to be an Elseworlds of a Tangent universe for certain, based on that.
Oh, it's all the Tangent characters.
Yes.
Okay, so it is in the Tangent universe.
Yes, but it's an
Elseworlds version of the Tangent universe.
It's a tangent of a tangent, exactly.
Yes.
Chat, exactly that. Yeah, man, like this is such a great book. This was so much fun. Now that said, there are a few pages early on where we're trying to do a lot of establishing of like characteristics for some folks.
Oh, sure, because they're like, you don't know what the hell we're looking at right now. I don't know how we got greenlit here.
And there's just like one sequence where I was like, kind of like, but like the only reason it sticks out in my mind is because everything else in this was really, really, really strong.
Yeah.
Grundy is your main antagonist here, so we're dealing with like people coming back from the dead. Again, kind of perfect that this came out October.
Yeah.
Like this is I didn't expect it to be such a perfect spooky read. But it really, really was. Del Edera's art is stunning.
Yeah.
It's exactly what this book needed. It's moody and gorgeous. The coloring.
What a great use of color.
Well, it's not only a great use of color, but because of the fact that Del Edera, like if you've seen their work from Something Is Killing the Children, there's a lot of emphasis on shadow work, a lot of like straight up black shadow work in there. And when you put the punch of like Green Lantern light or green light next to that, it just lights up the page.
Yeah. Giovanna Nero, by the way, did the colors. Great job.
Giovanna, incredible work. Incredible work. It's just such a great vibe.
Yeah.
Right?
And a great debut, because like the last time, the only other Elseworlds book we have is a sequel to Gotham by Gaslight.
Right.
Which I read the first issue of and was like, I will read this one.
No, this other than the fact that like obviously they wanted Batman to lead that charge, this is a stronger showing, I feel like. At least story-wise.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you're dealing with a lantern in this book who didn't want the job. And it feels like Grundy's like essentially like chasing them down in a way. And so like they have to avoid everyone, and like what that means for people, because like the people have lost their own hope. But there's like someone who lives. We're dealing with the town of Lantern's Light, and we will find out where that is at one point in the book.
Yeah.
There's like a girl there, and she hasn't lost hope. She believes in the Green Lantern and all that, and like it's really cute.
Okay.
And there's like some sad moments in this for sure. But there are like some really great heroics in this.
Yeah.
And for not the most of this book doesn't necessarily have no, she's in it a lot. It feels like, because this is a story really about this girl, right? Interacting with the Green Lantern. And I was like, was the Green Lantern in this all that much? Because it feels like she's throughout. And she is, but it's not, it's her story via this person's perspective in a way.
Similar to Supergirl One of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is Ruth Eye's story, but
Right. But like she's not telling it to us later.
Yeah.
But she's a storyteller. I know, it's just really great. Yeah. I really, really enjoyed this.
Supposedly there's 7 issues of the series, by the way.
Man, I'll take all of them.
Yeah.
I want that. I want all of it. Like, I'm so glad that this is not over, because like this first issue is like, as long as this team is still on it, I will read all of it.
Yeah.
Like I will just pre-order it all right now. I'm in.
Cool.
I don't know why this just hit me
list
so hard, but it did. Like, and I think it's just because this issue like came out swinging.
Yes.
It's like,
well, it has to.
Well,
it's like, look,
yes.
Not only are we doing an Elseworlds Green Lantern story, but we're doing an alternate reality, like a multiversal Green Lantern character story. It's just, it's asking a lot.
Right. But I love it because it's like, we're talking about like Apocalypse is mentioned early on. There's monsters and like, and we dealt with Grundy, right? So like that was one of the things, and I'm guessing we're going to work through all of this.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
With like a league that doesn't exist anymore, or maybe we'll find out. I don't know. But again, like Deladra's art, you wouldn't think maybe that they would be like a perfect fit for like a superhero book.
It's an odd choice, but it also, I mean, like Hayden Sherman did Absolute Wonder Woman, and it's like, what?
It really, really worked. So I'm in. I like this book, and I can't wait for you to actually read it, and we can talk about it.
I know. I'm sorry. Yeah, man. I read Nightwing 119. Brand new creative team: Dan Waters, Steve Orlando, and Dexter Soy gave us Nightwing. All in, the new all-in run 119. This was, the Dexter Soy art is great. It looks really fun. We're trying something. It's a little bit. It very much dovetails from where we were in the Tom Taylor run, but also very much establishes its own identity.
Mm-hmm.
It's the story, such that it is fine. I saw a couple of, I saw a panel taken out of context that made, the Twitterverse excited, which means, that the book is probably not selling well. But it also means like people have been hungry for, or some folk have been hungry for, like not a darker, but more of like a badass Nightwing, as opposed to like the Nightwing that we've seen, which is much more like measured and competent and jovial. This is fine. It's not unreadable. And it certainly seeks to be its own, to have its own identity in the wake of a celebrated run.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But how much more this book will get from me is it remains to be seen.
Okay.
I don't think it's. Yeah, I think it's fine. The dialogue was a little hacky.
Oh.
And that really not hacky and a little amateurish. Not that it should be, but it certainly gave me that impression.
Okay.
I was a little taken out of it as a result. Not that it's it's not trying to be anything other than its own Nightwing run, while also acknowledging its predecessor. So on that front, I must give it some accolades.
Sure.
But do I care enough about Nightwing to proceed? We'll see.
Fair.
But
very fair.
That is what it is.
Okay.
So Nightwing 119, I read it.
All right.
It is a book that I read.
You've read this book. I read John Constantine, Hellblazer, Dead in America, number 10, the penultimate issue of Spurrier's, Dead in America run on Hellblazer.
Yes.
And I'm not ready. I'm not ready for the last issue.
I can't believe it's 11 issues.
It wasn't. Remember, they got a couple extras, right?
I know, but like,
so
just push it to 12. How bad could it be selling?
So I don't think it has to do with that. Like, if it's 11 issues, hopefully it's because that's what they needed.
That's what they needed.
And like that's like, if
knowing Sai, that's probably it.
If it's ever like that, then every time I'll take that.
Yes,
I will take that every
completely
single time.
Yeah.
Right. This issue serves to not only further the plot, but also to make sure we're all on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we get like some like fun like recapping of some stuff, but like in the best way possible. Like in a way where they're just like, let's do a check-in that makes sense.
Yes.
And so we do that a little bit, right? And we also get a perspective on the past issue that really helps.
Okay.
Because it's like we saw it from one side and now we're seeing it from the other side to figure out how we kind of got there. And I'm like, oh, loving this, right? And of course it ends on I'm not going to say what it is. It ends on a panel that I'm like, knowing when I talked to Campbell that he was like, I think issue 11, because that made him tear up. He's like, I think it's going to get you. And I'm like, I don't want to guess which way this is going. I just want it to happen.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But that last page reveal of like
of this issue.
Okay. I was like, oh boy.
Oh no.
What am I in for? And I'm trying not to think about it. I just want to go into this.
Yes, you don't want to predict it. You don't want to second guess it.
That's not what I'm here for. I like sometimes we do that. Sometimes we play around with that type of stuff. But like when it comes to certain stories, I just want to experience the story. I just want it to happen
completely.
But yeah, I mean, this entire series has been about story.
Yes.
And, you know, whether it be from, you know, tall tales to lies to mythology to Hollywood. And that's kind of where we're ending because it's America. We've kind of gone across the country and now we're ending there. And Spurrier has a lot to say about that. I will leave you to find out what on your own time, on your own read. But like much like when Spurrier had John in England and he did not pull punches there either.
Sure, yeah, he had things to say about.
He had things to say there too. So it's not like he's just attacking us to attack us. It's like no, it's just he has opinions. He has opinions and he has a critical eye and he shares them with us to help us think.
Yeah,
and it's not to tell us what to think.
No, just
because
this is what he's thinking.
Yeah, if he may say something and I might go, "That's interesting." Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that.
Right,
or maybe I do agree with that. It's fine. It's to have a conversation, right?
Exactly.
This in particular, though, like there is like a device he uses in here with like these like dueling narration boxes, and once like
who's talking?
It's two characters within it.
Oh, okay.
But like we're getting both of their stories and we're seeing how like it's really well done, and it takes you a second to get where you're going with this. I'm like, oh, okay, okay, got it. We're still also, you know, hinting at series, not that we're having that we know they're part of the series, but like we haven't had John v them yet, and I'm like, where are we going with this, right? And other than that, like I don't know, it's like it's so hard when we come to a penultimate for me to talk about it.
Sure, because you don't want to give it away.
I don't want to give it away. I know there are some folks who are like, I'm gonna wait. But like the fact is, like there's like there are some pages in this book that are just like Campbell clearly loves this series. I had this moment where I was reading the book where it was like, I've seen plenty of artists who have this, and I know that Campbell has different takes on his art.
Yeah.
But that he has a way with his art where it just looks grim and gritty and dirty.
Yes.
And that is such a perfect fit for Constantine because he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All those things. Exactly.
Like he has all those things. And when you take his work and you put like, you know, again, you're seeing these like these textures and the really intense shadows, and he has like these really light areas, and you put these like vibrant colors on them. It's just incredible to me. Like it's just so incredible.
Mixed media, right? It's never just one thing.
He does. He's not doing the colors on this. I think it's Jordi Belair doing the colors.
Which makes sense.
But like I know Campbell has big opinions about the colors on his art, because I've talked to him one time about I can't remember which book it was, where it was just like it looked a certain way because when he got it back the first time, it looked horrible.
Right.
And he was like, I think all you need to do is this, because it was honestly perfect. The like uncolored.
Yes.
And they were like, no, we're going to color the hell out of it, right? But yeah, Campbell really showing us a lot of range within the Hellblazer series. We get to see his like super mixed media painterly style. But we also get to see occasionally something that's a little more accustomed to, you know, like traditional superheroes.
Yes.
In a way.
or big two comics.
Yeah, like more in that arena where it's less of the mixed media and more just like ink and you know, line art, and that's kind of it. And I'm like, that he just has such a great range, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a book I'm going to be super duper sad is over.
Yeah.
For certain, but yeah.
And we know there's no secret third chapter to the the Aaron Campbell size period Constantine trilogy, because he's moving on to another project.
Yeah, he is working on another project or two. He mentioned an indie book he's got coming out to be very different, but I was like, I'll still try it, check it out.
Oh yeah.
But in terms of John, I don't know where John's going to be at the end of this, and I am hoping though that maybe with the Vertigo or Black Label, if John can find another home there, if Cy had another story he wanted to tell, I would hope that he would pair up again with Campbell.
Yeah.
But I know it's a lot to ask. We've gotten this was a gift.
Yes.
This was a gift.
Yeah, it's a bonus, so you just get another chance to say goodbye.
But easily just stunning.
Right.
Stunning series.
Yay. I read Superman 19, which is, not that book at all. It's Dan Mora, Joshua Williamson, Superwoman, Superman, teaming up, kicking ass, like being together. It's cute to see Superman and Superwoman and Lois like do things together. The website's broken; you can't click on it anymore.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh,
sorry. It's okay. Don't close it. Is it already? It won't load. Yeah, it's a good book. Okay. It's fun. The implication is the Doomsday will return and battle them, and that's exciting. Superman is visited by the Time Trapper, a character that's so rare to appear, and his identity has been a secret for a long time, and occasionally has been other characters. And this one, there's a last page reveal that I was surprised to see so many people online, at the very least, excitedly talk about, where they were like, oh, that's a cool idea, and I was like, oh, I'm glad you like it, like, because I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here for it, because it is fun. Like, it's a fun idea, because what the hell else are you gonna do with this friggin' guy? Like, number one, I don't give a crap about the Time Trapper or about what his identity is.
Right.
So if you make it whatever they do in the last page reveal of this issue, super duper, let's see where it goes.
Right.
And it looks like, it's going to be cool. And I'm excited to see it. And I love the idea of there being a big use of Doomsday.
Yeah.
I love Doomsday when he's in its purest form. There was this really exciting time. I remember there's like poster that I always wanted of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman fighting an army of Doomsdays. And I was like, an army of Doomsdays? Like, it was drawn by Jim Lee, and it's awesome looking, but also like Doomsday doesn't need an army.
Well,
Doomsday is an army. Doomsday took down the Justice League single-handedly with one hand tied behind his back.
Right.
We don't need that. I would like to see the Justice League fight Doomsday, and not in Doomsday Wars where he's puppeted by Brainiac. I don't know if we're going to get that. I know we're not going to get that. But Superman and Lois teaming up to fight Doomsday, that's a fun idea.
Yeah. Because
then there's a flashback depicted perfectly by Dan Mora.
Of course. Well, it's Dan Mora.
Yeah.
So it's
of Lois like cradling Superman's dead body. Like, she has her own trauma. Like, I watched you die. I watched this guy friggin' kill you. And now I'm going to punch him in the nuts. I'm like, yeah, there we go. Let's go. Cool. Fun. I'm down for it.
I really love that concept. That's why she wants to do it.
No. But also, if you're looking for like your new favorite run of Superman, this is the way to go.
Okay.
I love this. I love Superman when he's competent and fun, when it's not trying to be like annoyingly subversive or whatever. It's just pure and fun, and just letting him be.
Okay.
It's great.
Okay.
So yeah, I read. I guess where do we go from here? I guess
you got two more.
Let's do detective. Let's do Batman.
I've heard great things about it.
Yeah, Tom Taylor and Mikkel Yannon. I mean, like, it's a good team up. Obviously, off of Rom V's run. Sadly,
can we just talk about this cover?
Okay, so this is like a trend they did with the all-in line, like stark white background, featured prominently.
Deciding to make him green.
Yeah.
In order to complement the red.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good choice.
It was.
But it's like one that you don't normally see for
You never see Batman green. Yeah. I mean,
you rarely see Batman green.
It's very rare. But yeah, it's this is definitely like, if you are kind of soft on the Zdarsky run, this is a great book to jump into. Okay. It features Batman as a detective.
Detecting things.
Yes, I mean, like it's right in the name, but it also you could tell that like Taylor's bringing he's taking it to heart.
Mm-hmm.
there is a real mystery afoot, while it also seeks to define and change Batman's origins a little bit, but not in a kind of like not in a disruptive and frustrating way. Like this is the kind of retconning that we used to do all the time 30 years ago.
Right.
Basically the implication is that Thomas Wayne saved Joe Chill once.
Why?
How ironic. Because it's ironic.
Oh, okay.
Because oh my god. Well, because
that makes him even worse than he was before.
Yeah. Well, because like it's thematically,
sure,
it's about like because that's the lesson. And there's this beautifully depicted sequence where Thomas is talking to Bruce because Bruce like overhears the conversation because Joe Chill also was like abusive to his wife, because also this book seeks to further push Three Jokers out of continuity.
Sure.
So like this one. Joe Chill had a wife and a kid, and he was abusive to the wife, and she was in an accident, and she prematurely gives birth to her kid. And so, Thomas saves Joe. Joe is in an accident too. Like he almost dies, and everyone in the hospital is like, just let him die. He's a bastard. And Tom's like, no, I took an oath. I save people. And so, and he's like disgusted with everybody for them implying he should like let him die or not like do his best. And he does his best, and he's a great doctor, so he saves Joe Chill. And now she's like, well, then you have to help me put my kid up for adoption because like he's going to kill my kid. And so he puts Martha in charge of this woman and her child and like helps to disappear them from Joe Chill.
So he's the kid is going to be
the villain. Yeah, okay. Of course. That's the story. I mean, like, and so I'm just, Batman meets her and she's young and sexy and fun. And so obviously she's going to be the bad guy. I mean, you could see it from a mile away. It's not,
she's the Phantasm.
Yeah, she's the Phantasm. I mean, like, it's fine. But yeah, the idea that like, but there's a moment where Bruce like, overhears Martha and Thomas like arguing about him. So Bruce like gets involved, and he's a small boy. Obviously, they're still alive, so he's before 8. And so he's like, "Hey, why'd you do that?" And there's this image of Thomas like talking to him where he's like, "We don't do that. Like we save people because every life has like the chance to turn it around." But the way that Yannon and the colorist depict it, like the background falls away as the focus from Bruce's eyes is on his father. And like, this is one of those core memories. And it's like where Batman gets his, like, we save everyone. It's like, how dare you judge Thomas when Batman won't kill the Joker?
Right.
Like Thomas has his own Joker, and it's the guy who murdered him in an alley. I find it in no way offensive or ruining
it's Dr. Batman.
Yeah.
His Hippocratic oath to Gotham.
Exactly. I'm down. It's fine. Yannon's art, of course, is great. I'm totally down for it. It's, I mean, at this point he's synonymous with Batman. But yeah, it's deceptive, and in the way you're like, you could easily stop reading this book because you're like, oh, I can see where it's going. And look, like that was the problem with Nightwing. Like,
right.
Oh, everyone's safe. Tom's on the book. Tom Taylor will keep it safe and standard.
Are you saying that Tom Taylor's is like a security blanket for comics when he shows up?
I think so.
Like,
I think if Tom Taylor like did a Spider-Man series, it would be like this, where it's like, Uncle Ben met the burglar in a grocery store when he was committing a robbery. You know what I mean? And didn't stop him, but also talked him down from like shooting somebody. Like Uncle Ben could have stopped that guy, but he didn't. But like again, it has no consequence on the origin. Right. But also you're finding out something new and ironic about the origin.
Yeah.
But also Spider-Man's gonna save some people and swing around and like say some jokes, like and it's gonna do it for 80 issues, and no one's gonna complain. The book is gonna sale. The sales are gonna go like that.
Yeah.
Because people are gonna go, good. I don't need to watch the book anymore. Like, I think there is a subset of audiences of readers who are only reading the book because they feel like they're the lifeguard. Got to keep an eye on this book. Got to make sure.
I don't believe that.
And so when a safe writer comes on board, they go, oh, good. I can take a break for a minute.
I don't believe that at all.
I understand that feeling.
No.
But his Friendly Neighborhood book sucked. So, but this Batman book is fun. It feels like a good standard. I'm like, all right. I'm excited because like Batman hasn't been normal and copacetic in a long time. So I'm in. He's got money. Alfred's still gone. Gonna fix that one day, but not now.
But not this day.
Not this day. Not any day. And then there's Absolute Wonder Woman.
Written by Kelly Thompson with art by Hayden Sherman. 2 creators I'm a big fan of.
Yes, where did you know Sherman from?
Dark Space Dungeon, Scott Snyder book. Frickin' Snyder has gone on record saying that was like the darkest thing he's ever written, and you may have read Witches, and I can tell you, having read both of them, yes.
Yes, Dark Spaces is darker than Witches.
Yes, because for reasons.
Dark Spaces doesn't have any magic in it.
For ending reasons.
Well, Dungeon has no magic.
Yeah, 100%. Anyway, here we are, Absolute Wonder Woman. Hayden Sherman doing the art for this. Kelly Thompson taking the reins, horse joke, for Wonder Woman.
A swift win here.
And we're gonna like get to know this character while having a bit. It was a big fight. Let's learn about where she comes from.
Yeah,
it's a classic narrative device that is being utilized here, and I think it's done really, really well.
Yep.
We had the idea that this was going to be magical in origin, and how is that going to work? And for me, it's perfect. It's a perfect decision.
I mean, the pitch was just Wonder Woman from hell.
Sure.
That was what everybody was saying. I mean, she has this hell beast that she rides. She's got these, crazy tattoos, and there's a darker edge to her.
Yeah, and it's brilliant because we're gonna call in Cersei, which I love that so much. We're leaning into, of course, mythology here, but also just Wonder Woman in general, having typically battled Cersei.
Yeah.
And calling her in and essentially being like, here, you take care of this kid.
Yep.
And like ending up being like her mother.
Yeah. And Cersei is Wonder Woman's mother.
I freaking love it because not only is it brilliant, but like Sherman's panel work for the sequences of Cersei raising her or getting her, spectacular.
Yeah. Oh, you could feel this kind of like mythological depiction. Like there are all these beautiful sequences that look like, they're from an old tome or paint or cave paintings.
Yeah.
Even.
With the snake in particular, great call.
Oh yeah.
Great call.
Oh, it evokes immediate imagery from mythology.
Mythology, religion, just the serpent in general. Just such a good call. Making it like, not an ordinary serpent.
Yes.
Just such a great idea.
Well, and the fact that like it's magical, like there's this moment where, everything else is muted and the snake stands out.
Yeah. And it's only matched by Cersei's hair, which I think is really interesting.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Cersei being like, all right, I'm gonna raise this kid. And like we're also on her journey where like she's falling in love with her child. And I'm like, that's really cool, right?
Right.
As we're watching Diana grow up, we get to see the hallmarks of Diana. So regardless of her being raised in hell, like her as an entity, as a being, as a person, she can't help but have compassion.
Right.
She's like nigh indestructible. There's like a little
could
lizard.
Kill any.
Like breathes fire.
The cute little like fire breathing lizard that blows in her like fire in her face, burns her hair.
And she says no, and she picks it up and she like gives it a kiss.
Sends it on his way.
Yeah, and Cersei's like, that thing's gonna destroy her.
Yeah.
There's this great art device that Sherman utilizes where we see a similar layout of a panel, and it's like their hovel, and we see over the years it develop into a home. And I really, really like that because it goes from like just being about survival and Cersei being unsure to Cersei desiring to have a home with Diana. Yep. And I think that's so precious. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Also, I'm pretty sure that's the horse.
Oh yeah, you're right. It totally is the horse.
Tiny, just a little bitty, like mini
little baby
thing.
horse, little baby skeleton horse.
So cute.
Yep.
So completely cute. But yeah, like Cersei, raises Diana, and we see as like obviously like the gods or someone tries to kill her multiple times, but we also learned that the word Amazon cannot be spoken by anyone except Diana.
I thought it was just Cersei, but I thought it was no one. Then I thought it was just Cersei because humans can say Amazon, but
I guess. I mean, Bezos would hope so.
Oh yeah, certainly. But there's a moment here. Whoever delivers Diana decrees it and makes it a will of the gods. That obviously a great lettering device where the word itself is banned, and so
it's
when
Apollo
it comes up
himself, which is interesting because it's like sun in hell.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a brilliant choice to have the sun god have to deliver her because you're in hell, seemingly like
a place devoid of light.
Yeah, or like at least devoid of warmth
Yep.
Possibly, depending on your depiction,
Of course,
of it, because hell could be many things. I just
Yes.
love that. Like, just and here's the sun. You'll never
but they
see
scratch it out. So when it's said, it's not understood.
Yeah. Anyway. So we see like Diana like fighting for humanity.
Yep.
But also like desiring to learn who she is as an Amazon.
Yeah.
I'm really hopeful that we leave Cersei as a caring mother and not a jealous one.
Ugh.
But like, it doesn't seem like we're going that way, and I really don't think that Thompson will do something.
She's not that
in
hacky.
That vein. Yeah,
She's gonna,
exactly.
I think there's a deliberate decision to make it Cersei.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's
Well, she has to learn magic from someone.
She's a tough villain. Cersei's kind of, if you don't do it right, she's really boring and kind of obvious.
Well, it's a shame because I feel like
so making her mother is like,
yeah,
let's do something new.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Also, I love like watching. Not only does she like allow her to learn combat and all that, but like literally they practice magic together, and I'm like, yes,
all right,
yes, we're getting that. We see Diana as like a warrior, as a witch, and then also as a scholar.
Yeah.
Like, it's just all these facets of like, it's like, yes, there are still hallmarks of the Diana you once knew, but this is not the Diana you knew.
Yeah.
Like, this is a totally different Diana.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that like Cersei is like, she does the like, if you love something, let it go, where it's like
I have to let her go off and fight monsters with a
like
big cool buster
like,
sword.
Being like loving her is like caring for her, but like, truly.
It's also letting her like test all those things that I instilled in her.
To like find out who she is.
Exactly.
And I love that sequence of the two of them together.
Oh yeah.
So great. Hayden like depiction of what Diana looks like.
When we saw the previews at San Diego Comic-Con at that panel, I was immediately just like, this is great. Like, just such a, again, deliberate in her depiction. Like, this is how she looks. This is what the shape of her face is.
Yeah.
We're going to not deviate from it.
Yes.
This is awesome.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you think that you're not sure who's narrating this initially, but like it's Cersei who's narrating it. So good. Love the panel work for not only that, but like the lettering, that choice of like panel box for her. It's just like a little tiny. Yeah, but letting them go is how you prove your love. That's what it was. I was like, I freaking love that. I also really like Cersei's support of her being an Amazon because it's like it's showing her like understanding that it's not like I don't own you. Like I raised you and I am your mom, but like you have to know where you came from and that like I was imprisoned here and like the gods are cruel and they're petty and the Amazons probably should not have been punished in the way that they are and you should be proud of who you are.
Yes.
I love that sequence of her being like, say it again.
Yeah.
Like, shout it.
Yeah.
But the Diana, when she introduces herself, like make sure that they know that like she's a Themyscira.
This is what I am.
She's
I am
the daughter of Cersei.
Yes.
And Princess of Hell and Witch of the Wild Isle. I'm like, yeah, you are.
Yeah. It's cool.
Right.
Whatever that means. That sounds dope.
Write that all down.
Yeah. All those things.
All those things. Put it on a sign. I want it up.
Yeah.
For me, this is it. Like, I liked Batman and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy Superman, but this is it for me. I am so on board. I'm like, could I just have the rest of it now?
Right.
Could you please just give this to me?
Yeah.
Yes. What's
the name of the horse?
Great question.
Right? We find it out in this book.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember.
She shouts it.
Yeah.
I thought
it was in the beginning of the book.
She just calls him Pegasus.
There you go. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Pegasus.
Yeah, and it shoots fire.
Yeah.
By the way, not only is Hayden Sheridan drawing a horse, but he's like, I have to draw a skeletal horse.
You got to know how that horse works. It's not like you can't fudge it by covering him with like a blanket or a saddle or hair or something. You got to draw a horse skeleton. You need to know a horse intimately. How a horse works.
How does the inside of a horse work?
Yeah.
So creepy and great looking.
How would its rib cage twist were it to rear up in mid-flight?
Here it goes. It would look like this. I'm like, okay,
I'm in.
Yes,
cool,
sure, why not?
Right.
But yeah, just such a great book, such a different feel from Batman for sure.
Oh, easily.
But like,
but different in the same vein where it's like, here's something different. Like everybody can be very cynical about like doing an ultimate version of these characters, and maybe if like you're looking at something like Earth 1 as an example, you could definitely feel that way. But like look at that double page splash of just the titling, where it's like here's what you're in for. Just like good, like it just drops like a friggin' weight, like a big heavy rock.
Horseworks. And by the way, if you're wondering who's doing the colors, it is Hayden Sherman. He is the artist on this. The colors for this are phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying too, because it's also like, yes, this is not the same vein as
Jordi Belair does the colors.
That's cover colors.
Oh, because I saw her on the cover too, and I was like, oh, I thought maybe no, but no, you're right. Here it is.
No, it also says you're right. I'm sorry, I apologize. Jordi Belair does do the colors on this.
What the hell? What they say artist? You gotta say pencil inker. You can't say artist. And
no, you can say artist. That's fine.
You can, but like
that's fine. That's fine. Jordi Belair, apologies. Phenomenal work.
Yeah.
On 2 books this
week. But Sherman's crushing it. I mean, like immediately. He needed to.
Well,
yes. They needed to. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they definitely did. But I had faith based on the concept art that we saw.
Oh yeah.
Really well thought out.
Very yeah.
But going back to what we were saying about how it's different, the different doesn't mean not as good.
No.
It just means it's just in a different vein. Like Absolute Batman has a very specific vibe. It's giving Krakoa for me. Right? Like remember I used to say like Krakoa has like a book for everyone, right? And I'm just like, it does not feel like Batman did.
Yes.
And it will not feel like Superman did. And Superman won't feel like Batman, I'm sure. Right? Like,
oh no, they're gonna be, and that's the thing, like that's the fun part of this universe, or at least of these 3. And then we're gonna see Wally and other characters, Green Lantern, for example. But they're all uniquely, I mean, Scott said it in the interview we did at New York Comic Con, which is available on this channel, by the way, you can check it out. But he was like how creator forward it feels right now. How all these books are creator forward.
Yes.
This is Thompson and Sherman's vision for Wonder Woman. And while I have no doubt in a year there'll be an Absolute Justice League book.
Yep.
And I don't say that because I'm telling tales out of school. No one has told me anything about it. I have heard nothing about it.
Right,
but like, oh, do you hate money?
Yeah.
I must see these characters interact, but let's spend a year just focusing on who these characters are.
Yes.
And in their own stories. I think you're only going to do a disservice if like Superman showed up in issue 3 of Absolute Wonder Woman.
Oh, for sure. So someone asked if she had a lasso.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that because like Cersei gives it to her.
Exactly.
And it's very different because you know how like oftentimes with Wonder Woman Origins, it's that she had to like trick her mom into like letting her have
battle in the thing.
But this is like Cersei says like, how you prove your love is by setting your child free and arming her to the teeth with the greatest weapons imaginable. Like Cersei's like, no, this is what you're
gonna go out there. Here you go.
Here you go. Take all the stuff.
Right. My last word on like your upbringing is to fill your like coffers with weapons.
Yep.
So that you have the best possible
She's got
defense.
like a Buster sword and her,
which grows. I think it's like it doesn't. It's not always big. She can like it changes in size. At least that's what they said at New York Comic Con.
That makes sense. Yeah, I freaking love it. So good.
Yeah.
So great. I love also the nod to her introduction to the like human world via Steve Trevor. I'm not saying he's in this, but that she immediately interacts with military.
Yeah.
Like the first time we see her, she's interacting with the military.
Right. Exactly.
And I'm like, that's really cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
So,
yeah. Again,
really smart book. I think Thompson like destroyed it.
Yep.
Like just completely like she ate and left crumbs.
Fair.
So good.
Yeah, I agree. What was the book of the week this week?
Dude, there's no way. There's just no way. That's not a question. What is yours?
I think honestly, Robin Lives. No, I feel like it's got to go to Wonder Woman because of what a strong and original showing it was. It really is just like a very special book.
Yeah.
Close. I mean, Batman, Detective, and Superman were pretty great, though.
That's what I'm saying. This is an impossible week.
It was a tough week
because Flash for me was such a great beginning to the arc, and I think it just shows the hope. I wish people had more faith in Cy when he first launched into his arc. But like I hopefully they're getting something out of it now. It was just fun.
Yeah.
Of course, Zatanna wrapping up.
Yes. Like honorable mentions go to Zatanna for having a really strong showing. Like you had a whole miniseries.
It was great. This is like I didn't expect to have such a strong reaction to Green Lantern. Completely incredible. Completely incredible. Hellblazer number 11 or 10. God. So good.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Tin Can Society continues to be a book that like
to delight
me and to give me a fantastic mystery. And then it comes down to obviously the two that I'm struggling with, right? Because this was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
This book is something else. Like this is on a different level for me than some of the other books, and I want to give it to this, but it has to go to Wonder Woman. I'm sorry. It has to.
That's fair.
I'm not sorry.
No,
I'm not sorry. I loved this so much. I loved every moment in this issue.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
Yes, this was very hard for me.
It's a tough one.
Like most of these could have been a favorite.
Yes, I agree.
Any other week, if they come out against not like other things, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Grumpy Goat.
What am I doing with this here? Why is this here?
That's for later for me. That's just I brought that home or from home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Don't look at that. Grumpy Goat, Detective Comics 1090 is the most refreshing jumping on comic I've read in the last decade, and it probably would have passed me by if not for ComicPop.
Hey!
We do recommend it. Yeah, check it out, folks. Hulkzilla, Absolute Wonder Woman put a huge smile on my face. Gonna catch it on the rewind. Laters. Thanks a lot, Hulkzilla. Bear Farmer, anyone see baby Diana yeet that hell snake into Absolute Wonder Woman?
Did, 100%.
It's a small thing that really cracked me up. I agree.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
It's just like a little onomatopoeia.
Yep. Lenny Laserdisc, ComicPop, woo, what a great time to be a DC fan, huh? Exactly. Yeah, no, it is a good time to be a DC fan.
It is. It really is.
Right.
But that's why it's like, for me, like, I'm not a Marvel or a DC fan.
That's right. I'm just a comics fan.
I'm a fan of the media.
That's right. Fan of the media.
Medium.
Emily, the goaltending drummer. I think I like Detective 1090. Yana draws a great Batman. I've never read a Taylor story, so it seems like a big swing to take with the ending. I agree that I understand people's reticence to the change. Like somebody in the comments mentioned, or the chat I should say mentioned, it didn't have to be Joe Chill. I'm like, if it wasn't Joe Chill, you wouldn't care. No, it had to be Joe Chill for it to matter. If it was just Batman saves a guy or Thomas Wayne saves a guy, nobody cares. Nobody's interested in that. It's got to be that. Otherwise, that has no meaning. Thorn Identity, got to bounce, damn it, but love you guys. Love you too, just Thorn Identity. Thanks for being here, man. Bryce Harriet, hi. I hope you guys are doing well. I got Flash, Power Fantasy, Superman, and Green Arrow. All books I'm reading because of your recommendations. Lovely week. Thanks, Bryce. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, those are good books. Bear Farmer, Power Fantasy 3 picked up for no reason and found the other two issues. This story is so cool. I've been telling everyone I know to read it. I'm happy to hear it, man.
Yeah.
That's great. That's nice. Word of mouth is usually how most books sell.
It's the best way.
Kevbot, thanks for your generosity. Hi, guys. After an awesome con, I can't believe I get to wave my signed copy of Terminator by the great Crivelli. Almost didn't get to with the mob around Zap on Saturday. Seriously, though, congrats, Sal. So excited for you. Thanks, Kevbot. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming to the signing. That means a lot. He's exaggerating. There wasn't a mob, but there was a nice line that came.
There was a nice line, but there was
Friday it formed really well. Saturday it became
it was really hard
because of too
Saturday
many people. Just not that came to the signing, but rather that were just in the aisle. Zap is tough. Zap is a great location, but it's also tough to make it work.
Sometimes, yeah.
Because they don't have there's no inside of the horseshoe. It's just books. Revolutionary Dragon. Hey, ComicPop, what do you think of Global Comics if you use it? I don't, but with their incorporation of DC books makes it a contender to fight against Comixology. I'm not going to take any more risks with Comixology-esque companies.
Fair.
It's just over.
No, see, here's the thing. I recognize I purchase my digital comics through Kindle Comixology. Yep. This is not me saying you should do this.
No, it's not an endorsement.
It's not an endorsement whatsoever. I'm just saying I do that.
Yep.
At the same price, basically, that you purchase your
physicals
books in the store, and I recognize I don't own them, and that kills me sometimes.
Yeah.
But then when I realize the amount of books that we purchase and read, we just don't have the room.
Yeah, it's just I'm paying essentially to not have to store them. We make specific sacrifices where we will pick up books that are physical, for certain titles, but. Yeah. I think it's a fantastic, viable option, just the way Comixology used to be. But again, Comixology used to be that.
But my whole library moved over.
Yeah, no. In that case, the library did move.
It
didn't get deleted like some folks found. But with Global Comics, I'm sure there's a DRM-free option, and you can download your books, and you can have a physical copy, or rather a digital copy that belongs to you. I believe that the same thing happened with Comixology at some point or another after enough, outcry. But
I can download my comics now?
I think you can download them. Yeah, you should be able to. I would. Nur Ravel says, don't mind me just paying the tangent tax. Much love and thanks for being cool as usual. You too, Nir. Thank you very much. Ardui says, ComicPop Woo, support as always for cool peeps. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you very much.
Kind of bummed about the constant
burned out
from the constant grinding gears of capitalism. So thanks for being out here making days better with your chill nerd talk. Much love. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Typical Spider. Hey, Salheads and Tiffany's and bros have been on the Omni train lately. Just got Spider-Verse, Super Sons, and I have Amalgam pre-ordered. Are you guys excited for Venom? I think they're such goofy B movies. Not at all. I heard that it sucks. I couldn't have imagined that it would suck, given that the last two sucked. But hard to believe. I know enough about Venom to know, I mean, it ain't for me. I know this movie did underperform to Sony's expectations, which of course means that Sony will learn the wrong lesson from it. So I can't wait to see what they do with Null. My assumption is that the Morbius and Vulture and Madam Web and the Spider-Girls will all team up to fight Null. No one will go see it. They'll make $12 and they will continue to make bad Spider-Man movies. Arduis also says, also I want to have you know you've got me on a noir audiobook kick from Gotham City Year 1 episode. If you like semi-paranormal stuff, suggest John Connolly's Charlie Parker series.
Ooh,
I've heard of that.
Okay.
Nikki T, happy pumpkin or Halloween, I suppose. Sal and Tiffany. Tiffany, have you read any of the manga adaptations of Lovecraft? I got a deluxe hardcover of At the Mountains of Madness, and it is disturbingly beautiful.
I do believe I have one of them, or I don't, and I had it wishlisted. I can't remember at this point, but I know what you're talking about, and I remember at the very least leafing through it. And you're right, it is gorgeous. Yeah. Absolutely gorgeous.
I should point out, by the way, since you brought up pumpkins, the latest issue or episode of Pumpkin Party from Dorkly/Lowbrow has dropped today. I am in it. I am the new guy. I was in the last one as the new guy. I do have a name. It has not been revealed. It will not be revealed in this episode, but hopefully you check it out. It's a lot of fun. Pumpkin Parties are stupid and really fun. I'm glad to be part of them. Also, if you're all over there, you should subscribe to Dorkly so you can check out the This Week in Nerd History podcast, of which I am the third host. I am excited to be a part of that show. We're up about 5 or 6 issues deep.
Episodes,
and I am, I'm just thrilled to be on it. Ethan likes it. That's the endorsement.
There you go.
Cam Medina. Hey, thanks for being awesome for the past decade. You guys have kept me sane. Do you accept DMs? I had some comic ideas I wanted to share. Keep at it. Well, thank you very much. We get DMs over Instagram a lot. I can't take any comic book ideas because I do some random work sometimes, and I can't, I can't help you. I can't pass it along. I can't use them. And I just for legal sake, I just do. I appreciate it. Your best bet. Take your ideas, make your own book. If it's a book, I can read it. That is the way to go. Typical Spider just saw the short. So excited for this week's back issues. No one does it like ComicPop. Can't wait to find out what Tiffany's doing for Halloween issues. I agree. Yeah, I dropped a short from next week's episode, but this week's episode is a special Halloween edition of back issues led by Tiffany. Yeah.
I think you should be more excited about the fact that it's the 4 of us. I don't know if the book itself is particularly
exciting.
Yeah, I did it and I'm glad I did it.
Mm-hmm. But it's never like, oh my god, we didn't do Something's Killing the Children. That was literally almost it. I know
we didn't.
I know,
and I'm a little disappointed in me.
Yeah,
I'm a little disappointed in myself.
I'm not disappointed in you, but I do think if we had our druthers, if you were working for ComicPop full time, all of October would have been spooky books.
Yeah, for sure.
Even I would have done a spooky book.
For sure. It's just I definitely allowed the health of the channel to determine what book I was going to do.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I don't think I'm upset about it. You said you enjoyed the episode.
I did. I had a fun time. It's a fun episode.
Oh, you were like now it's just a fun. It
is fun. I'm not overselling it. I think it's a really fun episode.
Okay, I was saying before it was you were I'm really proud of this episode.
I am proud of it. It's a great episode.
I think everybody should be really excited about the costumes too.
Yes.
I think everybody did a great job.
Yeah. What's too bad is we didn't take individual pictures of everybody. So I could just post them on Instagram. Just here's all 4 of us.
Yeah, we didn't.
Yeah. DanV900. I thought Absolute Wonder Woman was great. It is pretty easily my favorite Wonder Woman story since that first Afterworlds arc with her ending up in Norse mythology and awesome Dead Earth. The art was so good.
Agreed.
I agree. Yeah. You also were like that. You were like, man, that Afterworld story was great.
Yeah.
And what about the rest of it? Yeah, that Afterworld story was great. And Dead Earth is awesome.
It turns out, and that is not the fault of the book. It just turns out I am looking for Wonder Woman to be tethered to magic and mythology.
Yeah.
And that doesn't always happen because that's
No.
not always been what she does.
Yes.
So it's like, that is not the fault of the creators nor the character. It's just, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's true. Fear and Loathing in general. Wonder Woman Dead Earth was hair metal. This is black metal. I think that's fair.
Okay.
Hulkzilla, also shout out to the Doomsday Wars episode. It was hilarious from start to finish. Thank you very much. That was tough. I feel like it was a little boring. I was a little sad. I was editing it and I was like, I think this is gonna be too boring. I don't know. But no, people, I mean, like, thankfully Ben, Ethan, and Tiffany always bring the zingers and make it funny, even when I'm like kind of bored. I was bored talking about it at certain points. I'm like this happens. Let's try and mix it up. Let's talk about cereal for a little while. There's a whole tangent. Danby 900, I gave Tin Can Society a shot because of you and another podcast I listened to, and it's so good. I picked up Full Moon because of the two of you singing its praises last week. Alfred, Zatanna, and Man Bat, my jam.
Yay!
Oh, I forgot. I read
We love making Rex. Thank you.
I read The Moon is Following Us #2. It's great. Keep reading it. It's fantastic. Riley Rossmo, Daniel Warren Johnson. It's a beautiful book.
Very nice.
Mordechai, would you all like to see more Elseworlds of other Earths, like more Tangent or Stan's Wacky DC Earth? Love GL Dark.
If the story is there, yes, because like what makes the Green Lantern book so strong is that there's a story there, and it's it's written well and it looks great. So it's less about wanting to see them and more like, does someone have a story to tell about it?
Yeah,
because then I'll probably be there for it.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some books that are coming out next week that we think you should check out, or this week, I mean. Wolverine Revenge Red Band Edition, or the regular edition #3 is coming out. There was a little bit of controversy with respect to Greg Capullo.
Yeah.
Here's the long and short of it. He went on Twitter. He mentioned that FCO, his colorist, quit the book and kind of threw him under the bus a little bit. Basically, was like, deadlines aren't for everybody, but we'll get somebody who's just as great. And then proceeded to talk about like his work ethic and how hard it is to like, be in comics. And, if you have a work life, balancing your work-life balance is tough. I don't really have an opinion in as much as I don't want to get into it.
Fair.
I not that I like don't have an opinion necessarily, but I don't know enough about it. And I don't have enough of Capullo's intent, not that I'm saying that his intent was not clear, but rather I'd rather just let the dust settle before I have any kind of like weight.
That's fair
on that. But
I just totally destroyed your ability to look at comics because I didn't realize.
No, it's not our fault. League of Comic Book Geeks website.
No, you're good. You're good. I fixed it.
Captain America #14 is coming out. I'm going to check that out. We'll see how it goes. Okay. I don't know. This book isn't great, but it's not bad. Also, Spider-Man's going to come back, and is Babylon 5 creator J. Michael Straczynski writing it. So but Spider-Man's on the cover, which means Marvel had something to say about it. That suggests to me that he'll only be in it for like 2 panels. Predator versus Black Panther #3 is coming out. I believe that's the penultimate issue of the Black Panther Predator book. I have been singing the Predator books praises with the crossovers. I liked Wolverine versus Predator. I don't understand why you need at least 3 artists on this book. This one in particular suggests that Chris Allen's doing all the art for issue 3. Issue 2 had at least 3 artists, and it was ugly.
Ooh.
It was an ugly, unprofessional looking book.
Right.
And that made me very unhappy. I was just like, I was disappointed.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I don't mean like, shucks. I mean like, hey, what the hell?
Okay.
Don't flood the market, Marvel.
Yeah.
And dominate the space if you don't want to put your best foot forward on books that cost you money. If you're killing trees to make entertainment for people, at least print good-looking shit on it.
Yeah, I get that.
Just frustrates me, especially when it's a book that's like tough to sell. Predator is tough to sell. Not so tough that people like Dan Trachtenberg are not making 2 Secret Predator movies.
Well,
but one of them is animated. By the way, they're making 2 Predator movies. One of them is a sequel to Prey. The other one is an animated anthology movie, which we've been pitching for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
If not 25 years.
I think we said it should be a show, but they're doing movies. That's fine too.
Yep. But yeah, we pitched the idea that like there'd be, like a whatever you would do it, I guess in Disney Plus, but like, an HBO Max series where it's like 45 minutes a piece. Here's a predator against a cowboy or a pirate or a samurai. Turns out that the pitch that they suggested in the animated front was that he'll be fighting a cowboy or a pirate or a samurai. And I'm like, these are all my ideas. I mean, not that they're like the most original ideas, but certainly we've been the most vocal about Predator coming back and being an anthology. Finally, they're doing it. I'm just happy we're getting it.
Right.
And look, Marvel, if you want, I'll write you a Predator on a pirate ship story that'll knock your socks off.
Yes, you will.
Speaking of which, just a really quick, I saw a thing that reminded me the other day. They were going to make this Gen 13 Batman crossover back in like 1996 or 7. There's a cover. I want to say some of it was drawn, but like, as I recall, that's right. I had Glenn Greenberg on the show once, and he was like, they didn't get anywhere near like a story. Like it was not made. We have art, and that was it. I think Tom King should write a Gen 13 Batman crossover. I would like to see
what?
That. Yep.
Okay.
He can work with whomever he likes because he'll get.
Oh, how kind of you to give him that option.
But I mean, it doesn't matter because it'll be awesome. I don't need to pitch an artist. It's like whoever King wants to work for, or work with. But yeah, Batman Gen 13, written by Tom King, because he seems to have nothing but disdain for Gen 13.
Right.
And I think it's because he missed it. I don't think he read it.
Okay.
I think he missed it. And he saw it as like a young adult, was like gross, and then moved on. And I'm like, no. That being said, I did actually reread a lot of Gen 13, like the ongoing series. It's real bad.
Okay, well,
like
I think anyone could have told you that. I'm sorry.
But no, it's like bad. There are some like great,
I know.
There are like almost great ideas. Like the covers are the best ideas, and it sucks.
No, you're incorrect about that. It does. I mean, yes, it sucks. I mean, like there was
no, but I don't there was no redeeming qualities. I no. I have 2 pitches for Gen 13.
Okay.
Neither of which are Gen 13 Batman.
Sure. Go ahead.
Oh, Zdarsky Comic News is coming out. Tell your comic book stores to order Zdarsky Comic News. It's out again. I've never read one of them. Chip, send me some. Anyway, go ahead.
You got anything else?
No.
No. I'm going to try this. Look at that. Look at me trying things. This is Poison Ivy and Swamp Thing, Feral Trees, gonna be by G. Willow Wilson with art by Mike Perkins coming out this week.
I didn't even hear about this. What
We're
the
all
hell?
in.
What a great idea.
Right? Freaking yes. Let's go.
Please make more.
Please
That's
make
my
more.
note.
That's my note. Ultimate X-Men.
Yay.
Peach Momoko. Yes.
Oh, look at that.
I know.
We're on 8 issues. We've introduced these 6 characters. It's a team now.
It's a team. We're on a team. Come find me. It's still a rebook.
Ah.
Yeah. I'm interested.
Who's making it?
This is Becky Cloonan, Celine Loop, E.M. Carroll.
All right.
Molly Mendoza. There's a lot of people.
Come find me.
Come find me. Also Namor. I thought I had the cover, but
nope.
I didn't. I bet I do.
If you could just go here.
No, I have it.
Oh yeah.
Look at that.
Namor.
Come at me, Chip. Namor.
I used to call him. I call him Namor.
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 That A is awful tiny.
It's Namor, but I call him Namor because I love how annoyed people get when I do it.
Roman, by Jason Aaron.
Yeah,
because it's backwards.
Yeah, Roman. Wow, Roman. Huh.
With art by Davidson and Linz.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah, Roman. I know, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever think about that?
No, I've never thought of. I try not to think about Namor very much.
Oh.
So.
Well, he would want you to.
I know he would, because he insists upon himself. But yeah, that's it, right?
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you guys next time with another episode. Of course, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and watch Tiffany play video games on twitch.tv/ComicPop or youtube.com/ComicPop Plays. Bear Farmer in the chat says, just wanted to say I really like the Doomsday Wars episode. The cold open with Ethan is absolutely hilarious. I listened to the episode thrice. Not once, but twice, but thrice. Yeah, that cold open was great. I love these cold opens. Great idea, Tiffany. Thank you very much for revitalizing back issues. It's it's a good idea. I did the same thing with the Halloween episode. I took a little moment, put it in the front. I try to like mix it up. Ethan always has a great reaction. But I was like, I can't make it always Ethan. I got to see who else has fun reactions this week. Me. So it'll be my reaction because you drop a book or you drop a name. And I was like, what? No.
Yeah. That's right. I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
By the way, I got to talk about that. Like, there's a character that nobody likes that people have made YouTube videos and made more money than we've made in a year that they made in like one video on this character. And I had a pitch for that character. I was like, I know where they're going with this. And Zeb Wells is like, and Nick Lowe, did something more offensive in that vein. And but either way, they didn't do it. They didn't do the idea. And I was talking to Josh about it before New York Comic Con. We were chatting it up about like ideas and where they were going with it. And he was like, well, what do you think? And I said it, and he was like, I got him. He had another pitch, and I was like, that's fine. But what about this? And he was like, whew. He didn't love it, but he was surprised.
Okay.
And I'll take it. I'll take surprise over endorsement.
There you go.
Because, you'll always remember a surprise. If you agree, it's like you do something in a comic book and it's like, I agree with that. You might discount it because you'll basically just describe it to be like, that was my idea. But if you're surprised, they'll always remember being like, whoa, I can't believe that happened.
I guess.
Anyway. Yeah, Judas Traveler, right? Like, you got some pitches for that character. Anyway, Twitch, YouTube.
Yeah. Silent Hill 2 tomorrow.
Silent Hill 2 tomorrow.
We're back in the hospital.
Back in the hospital, folks. I'm excited about that.
I'm not. I hate that.
Are you bringing Danielle back?
Yeah, she said she was gonna play it, and then last week she's like, I'm not feeling good, which I appreciated her not coming over.
Oh, thanks for not making me sick.
But she wasn't sick. She was fine. And I still had to like play up to that point, and I actually like explore a bit of the hospital. It was not scary yet, so I got the best part of it. But I'm not playing any further. She's gonna have to do it. It's her turn. Mark my words.
There you have it, folks. We'll see you guys next week with another episode of Off the Rag. Make sure to subscribe. Check out more Halloween back issues on Wednesday.
Yes. And come for the costume, stay for the story.
That's right. Patreon.com/ComicPop. You can watch it early now. Or if you watch the Halloween episode, you'll see next week's episode. I'm not done editing it. You won't see it. You'll see it later. Anyway.
This adorable lion cub that's on your desktop is great.
I know. Well, my background's rotate.
I know. I'm just saying I'm loving it.
Yeah. It's McDonald's. So long, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.